Chapter 1002. When Han Fei encountered the mist of 9 sounds, combined with the comfort technique that Zhuyin Ling had shown him, he could basically guess what Zhuyin Ling's ancestor had in mind. Perhaps, in the eyes of such a strong master, feelings didn't matter. As long as he could become a king, he would become the unique king of the 1,000-star city. Everything in the past would disappear the moment he became a king. However, in Han Fei's view, this was also a path destined to be lonely. Once he really embarked on this path and became a king, what was the difference between such a king and an emotionless god? At this moment, seeing that Zhuyin Ling was in a daze and fear, Han Fei said, "Let's go. I'll try to see if I can change your comfort technique." Zhuyin Ling suddenly raised her head, her eyes hazy with tears. "Can I change it?" Han Fei said with a smile, "Of course. The carefree technique isn't complete. I told you that the first time I saw it. The problem is, I have to see if I have the ability to change it now." Han Fei grabbed Zhuyin Ling's wrist, and with a thought, he, Earth 9, and the tree spirit appeared on the empty floating island in the blink of an eye. In the sea-quelling painting, no matter where Han Fei wanted to go, he could go with a thought. This was different from the normal sea-quelling bizarre treasures. He had asked old Jiang for several bottles of pills to forcibly take the sea-quelling painting. Han Fei didn't expect that half a drop of origin water would solve everything. Zhuyin Ling looked at the empty floating island in astonishment. Looking at the round lake, she couldn't help but be at a loss. "Where is this?" Han Fei said with a smile. "You can think of it as a secret realm." With that said, Han Fei sat on the ground and said indifferently, "Wait for me for a while. I'll try to see if I can change the comfort technique." Zhuyin Ling pursed her lips. She was not stupid. The comfort technique could be passed down from generation to generation. It was something left by her ancestor, so it was definitely not something that could be easily changed. Besides, why was there the mist of 9 sounds in this completely strange world? Her ancestor had been here before, but how did Han Fei get here? Zhuyin Ling hadn't entered the boneyard, so she didn't know the secrets of the sea-quelling painting, but she was more and more curious about Han Fei's secrets. Suddenly, she remembered what the faceless man had said to her. She took a deep breath and her eyes were firm. Deduce. Han Fei's body was full of spiritual energy. Zhuyin Ling was surprised. Logically speaking, it was impossible for a normal person to withstand such dense spiritual energy. At this moment, the spiritual qi was quickly disappearing. After a while, a new technique appeared in Han Fei's mind. Heavenly Music Book, Venerable Level, Low Grade, Introduction. In ancient times, it was a unique skill of the Heavenly Sound sect. This technique fused with the wondrous sounds of heaven and earth, coinciding with the wondrous sound technique. It was a type of human path technique. In order to cultivate this technique, one must feel the 7 emotions and 6 desires of the human world, understand the impermanence and changes of the world, and break through the barrier to enter the Tao in the mortal world. This method was extremely difficult and time-consuming. Deduction result. Unknown. Note 1. This method of entering the Tao can at most allow one to become a venerable one. He needed to obtain the Gospel Book of Heaven and Earth before he could continue cultivating. Note 2. It has reached the current deduction limit of the demon purification pot. If it deduces again, it will involve the mysteries of heaven and earth and will damage the demon purification pot. Han Fei wasn't surprised to see the Heavenly Music Book at all. A venerable level technique meant that as long as he mastered it, he would definitely become a venerable through this method. The Gospel Book of Heaven and Earth was not considered for the time being. At least, the crisis of the comfort and nature technique had been resolved. Moreover, it was clearly recorded in the Heavenly Music Book that this technique was extremely difficult and time-consuming. It was completely opposite to the comfort and nature technique that Zhuyin Ling cultivated. In other words, the ancestors of the Zhuyin family only pursued speed and didn't explore it generation after generation, so the path was crooked. Han Fei had always believed that things created by humans couldn't be perfect. That was why he was so sure that he could perfect Jiuyin Ling's technique just now. However, Jiuyin Ling was too immersed in it to see this. As the saying went, you can't see the true face of Mount Lu because you're in this mountain. It could also be said that the onlooker sees the game clearly. Just now, Han Fei just scared Jiuyin Ling to let her know the problem of the comfort and nature technique and not to think about dual cultivation all the time. The moment Han Fei opened his eyes, Jiuyin Ling was sitting opposite Han Fei, looking a little nervous. Han Fei grinned. There is a way. Jiuyin Ling hurriedly asked, What way? Han Fei's face darkened slightly. This method is very difficult. Jiuyin Ling immediately heaved a sigh of relief, and finally, her face recovered a little. It's okay. It doesn't matter how difficult it is. As long as I don't become a heartless person in the end, it's okay. Han Fei took out a jade slip and copied the heavenly music book. After thinking for a long time, he said, Little Nine, this path is really difficult. Jiuyin Ling pursed her lips. I'm not afraid. Han Fei said, If you embark on this path, you may have to travel to countless corners of this world and see the fickleness of human nature. Jiuyin Ling looked firm. I'm not afraid. Han Fei nodded and handed over the heavenly music book. Jiuyin Ling took the heavenly music book and quickly read the introduction. Then, she looked at Han Fei in shock. Break through barriers in the mortal world. This is a venerable level technique? Han Fei nodded slightly. Yes, a venerable level technique. The corners of Jiuyin Ling's mouth moved. She suddenly understood what Han Fei meant by difficult. According to the Book of Heavenly Music, his experience in the world was far from enough. He was still lacking. In that case, she couldn't stay in the Thug Academy forever. Suddenly, Little Nine looked at Han Fei and said, Although I don't know how you created the heavenly music book through the comfort and nature technique, I still like you. Since there's no comfort and nature technique, there's no limit to the grand indifference. So, I will definitely catch up to you. Cough, Han Fei's body swayed. Hey! Why are we talking about this again? Little Nine. I'm not listening, Han Fei. Han Fei was stunned. No. Wait a moment. Where did you learn all this from? Who taught you that? Jiuyin Ling blushed. Xiaoyu is very cute and knows a lot. Han Fei's face immediately turned black. Why can't you learn from anyone? You learned from He Xiaoyu? No wonder I felt that this scene was somewhat familiar. Han Fei asked warily, What else did He Xiaoyu teach you? Without the pressure, Jiuyin Ling seemed to be in a good mood. There was a sly look in her eyes. I won't tell you. Han Fei's mouth twitched. Okay, now that things have been settled, let's get out of here. The tree spirit asked in surprise, Master, it's done? In Han Fei's head, Water Luster's voice suddenly sounded, Master, I suggest we kill this woman, or there will be endless trouble. Fire Seed. Master, I agree. Han Fei rolled his eyes and said, Okay, I've taken care of this matter. By the way, Senior Tree Spirit, send a clone out with me. It has to be at least a beginner law enforcer. Yes, Master. In the outside world, a white-haired old man came out with Han Fei and Jiuyin Ling. Jiuyin Ling was quite surprised. A clone had the strength of a beginner law enforcer. Han Fei seemed to have a lot of secrets. Jiuyin Ling thought to herself, everyone has secrets. Xiaoyu said that good girls shouldn't get to the bottom of things. I won't ask. Han Fei naturally didn't know what Jiuyin Ling was thinking. He led Jiuyin Ling and the tree spirit to the magic cube and found Luo Xiaobai and the others. Han Fei said, Let me introduce you to Senior Tree Spirit. You've met him before. In the future, he will take over your work and preside over the maze assessment. Li Luo, take Little Nine to familiarize herself with the environment. Xiaobai, come here. On the back mountain. Han Fei said, Jiuyin Ling won't stay in the Thug Academy for long. Things are almost settled. When all the students are recruited, we can go to the 1,000-star proving ground. Luo Xiaobai was surprised. It's settled so quickly? Han Fei nodded. How long do you think it will take? Luo Xiaobai nodded. At present, there are 2 people who have broken through the barriers and are stuck in the last assessment. The number of people who come here has increased, but once we go to the 1,000-star proving ground, trouble may come. Are you sure you don't want to wait until after Tang Ji's wedding? Han Fei shook his head. The 1,000-star proving ground. If it's just a competition in the trial field, it won't be a big problem even if someone comes looking for trouble. As for the 3 places like the God's Memorial Tower, we have to wait until after Tang Ji's wedding. Luo Xiaobai nodded. I'll go prepare. My family's information has been sent over. You can learn about it when you have time. In addition, after we recruit all the students, I suggest training them for a month first, because we may not have time to teach them later. Han Fei nodded. He understood what Luo Xiaobai meant. The reason why no one came to find trouble now was that Han Fei and the others were almost invincible in the hidden fisher realm. Those big families were not fools. If they came to find trouble at this time, they would most likely be asking for trouble. However, once Han Fei and the others entered the God's Memorial Tower and broke through the law enforcers, the moment they broke through the law enforcers, all the trouble would follow. Because at that time they would already be law enforcers. Their opponents would no longer be hidden fishers, but law enforcers. Han Fei killed an intermediate law enforcer with 1 slash in the Su family. However, that was just an ordinary law enforcer. So far, he hadn't encountered a single law enforcer heavenly talent. Obviously, the other party was also waiting. Chapter 1003. In the teleportation maze of the Thug Academy, there were a large number of people trying day and night. At first, there were only 1,000 people, but later there were more than 5,000 people. And now, many parents brought their children over. Among them, many weren't even from the Pure Sun Island at all, causing the number of youths taking the test in the maze to reach nearly 10,000. There were also some youths who just stopped in one place. The test was extremely difficult. In order to prove that they were better, they took the initiative to come here and participate in the test. However, the number of people who could reach the last 100 kilometers was less than 10. At this moment, Xingyu had been in the Spirit Gatherer maze for 3 days and 3 nights. In the past 3 days, he had tried countless times, and every time, he felt that he was close to success. But every time, he would fail and trigger a spiritual energy explosion. His goal was originally the Heavenly Sword sect. He believed that he was qualified to do so. Compared to his abilities as a soul warrior, he was more confident in his comprehension as a spirit gatherer. However, this time, he tried for a full 3 days, but he didn't even draw a single spirit gathering formation. This was a huge blow to him. He was determined that the 7 major sects would all be put aside. He had to go to the Thug Academy. Bam! He failed again, and the spiritual energy explosion sent him flying. Xingyu hurriedly cast a healing technique on himself, as if this spiritual energy explosion was a trivial matter. No, this isn't a regular spirit gathering formation at all. It should be a secret formation. However, this formation is extremely strange. It's completely irregular. If I want to copy it successfully, I have to master this irregular composition. Xingyu was thinking. It was obviously impossible to successfully draw this picture with traditional spirit gathering technique. If he wanted to succeed, he had to succeed in spirit gathering. If he succeeded in spirit gathering, he had to succeed in drawing, and if he succeeded in drawing, he had to succeed in spirit gathering. This seemed to be a triangle paradox. Suddenly, Xingyu had an idea, and his eyes lit up. The reason why I failed is because I used too much spiritual energy, causing it to dissipate and causing a spiritual energy explosion. Then, if I draw with very little spiritual energy and then stack it layer by layer, won't it work too? Xingyu frowned. It seems to be a bit opportunistic. But as long as I can succeed, who cares? A small amount of spiritual energy was being output from Xingyu's fingertip. In just a moment, he finished drawing for the first time without producing a spiritual energy explosion. Xingyu was overjoyed. This method was feasible. On the other side, in the armorist checkpoint, Guqi held his armor box and pulled out his swords and sabers from the box. Ding, ding, ding sounds were heard continuously on the shield. As an armorist, she already knew how to break the shield the moment she saw it. As long as a single point was broken, the entire shield wall would be destroyed. Guqi gritted her teeth. She had heard that one of the children chosen by the Su family only had a level 3 spiritual meridian, and the other was a bastard. Based on this alone, the Thug Academy would definitely be his. He only had a level 4 spiritual pulse. Although he was not a bastard, his parents had both died in the unknown place. Her spiritual heritage was too poor. The minimum requirement of the 7 major sects was a level 5 spiritual heritage. The appearance of the Thug Academy gave her a chance. Hoo-hoo! She didn't know how many times she had tried this. The reason wasn't because she wasn't fast enough, but because she didn't have enough spiritual chi. She could only bombard 60 times consecutively before her spiritual chi was depleted. She had to immediately recover her spiritual chi and continue trying. We can't go on like this. I wonder if there are any who have passed the test? I can't waste any more time. Huh? The explosion next door has stopped? Did that person pass the test? Guqi's heart trembled. The explosion not far away next door had lasted for 2 days. The other party was obviously not someone who would give up easily. No, I don't have enough spiritual chi. Then I'll burn my life. Outside the maze, a fishing boat flew over. On the fishing boat there was an old man with a girl. The girl was babbling, "Grandpa Mo, is this Thug Academy so powerful? Why did it decline back then? Are they the former 8th Academy?" The old man smiled and said, "Miss, in history, for a long time, the Thug Academy was the leader of the 8 major sections. In the beginning, there was a strong master who suppressed the 1,000-star city alone. He was peerless. This academy is definitely not inferior to the 7 major sections." The girl was curious. "Then why didn't you go to the Jade Fairy Palace? Teacher Jia said that I was extremely talented." The old man smiled faintly. "If you can enter this Thug Academy, you don't have to go to the Jade Fairy Palace. The Jade Fairy Palace is full of geniuses. Although they are very strong individually, their combination is much worse. Not only the Jade Fairy Palace, but also the Heavenly Sword sect. But the Thug Academy is different. They are consciously recruiting a perfect combination. If they start training from a young age, their final achievements will be different." The girl sighed and said, "I wonder if there are any good-looking boys in the Thug Academy?" The old man smiled. "Yes, I heard that there is a boy named Zhang Xuanyu. He is very good-looking. I've already asked around. This boy created his own cultivation technique and is very talented, but he may be a little older than you, Mississippi. He should be 20 years old today. However, don't panic, miss. I heard that this person is very good-looking and very suitable for you." The girl curled her lips. "He's only 8 years older than me. It's okay. My father is more than 300 years older than my mother. Isn't it the same?" The old man nodded. "That's true. The lifespan of cultivators will only get longer and longer. A few hundred years is nothing. Besides, this is the tradition of our family. I heard that dual cultivation is very popular in the Thug Academy. Miss, you can try it." The girl immediately clapped her hands and nodded repeatedly. "Yes, yes. By the way, will Zhang Xuanyu marry into your family?" The old man's expression changed slightly. "That shouldn't be possible. Miss, it's already good enough that you can catch up to such a genius. Don't even think about marrying into his family. We're here." Outside the maze, someone shook his head. "Someone else is here. Up until now, not a single person has passed the assessment. I don't think this maze can be broken. Someone nodded. I think so too. I don't think the Thug Academy is recruiting at all. Someone wanted to take off his shirt. If they're not recruiting, why did they make such a big fuss? They only want geniuses. If they can pass easily, how can it be called an assessment? The old man led the girl to the sign outside the maze. The girl read, "There are killing arrays inside. Don't barge in." The girl chuckled. "Looks like it's very intimidating." The old man said, "Miss, don't underestimate it. Although you're extremely talented, you can't trigger the killing arrays." The girl waved her hand and said, "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to find the handsome brother. Grandpa Mo, are you going to wait outside?" The old man smiled and said, "Of course. When Miss enters the Thug Academy, I have to hurry home and let Master and Madam escape first." The girl was speechless. "Is it that unbelievable?" The old man said leisurely, "The Thug Academy is strong, but they have too many enemies. Our family can't fully support the Thug Academy. Master said that he wants to live in town for a while. This way we can avoid the crisis of the Thug Academy." The girl said indifferently, "All right. I know they just want to leave me behind and sneak out to have some alone time. TSK, if they want to go, so be it." With that, the girl stepped into the maze, while the old man stood outside the maze with a smile, holding something unknown in his hand. He said to it, "Master, Madam, Miss has been tricked into going in. You can pack your things now." After Yi Xian entered the maze, she muttered, "You only know how to trick me every day. There are only 3 people left in the Yi family, and you still want to trick me? You just want to give birth to a younger brother for me. Humph, isn't a girl good? Girls are all cotton-padded jackets. Stupid dad, I won't be your cotton-padded jacket anymore. I want to go to handsome brother and be his cotton-padded jacket." Repent and be saved? What's that? Outside, just as the old man finished speaking, he saw Yi Xian return with a whoosh. His smile froze as he said in surprise, "Miss, where did you come from?" Yi Xian's face flushed red. "I just came out to see if you went back." The old man smiled and said, "No. If Miss doesn't enter the Thug Academy, how can I go back?" Yi Xian raised her head and grunted before walking back into the maze. 100 seconds later. Whoosh. The old man asked, "Miss, why are you out again?" Yi Xian said, "I forgot to tell you. What about my dowry?" The old man heaved a sigh of relief. "The entire Yi family is your dowry." Yi Xian walked in again. 30 minutes later. Whoosh. The old man said leisurely, "Miss, don't tell me you can't pass?" Yi Xian immediately rolled her eyes. "How is that possible? I just want to say that there are only 3 people in our family. Including Grandpa Mo, there are only 4 of us. What dowry is there?" The old man smiled and said, There is. As long as Miss becomes a student of the Thug Academy, the dowry might shock you. By the way, Miss, don't come out." Yi Xian walked into the maze again in disdain. This time, she was already familiar with the maze. She didn't touch any teleportation arrays that didn't make sense. Otherwise, if she went out again, she wouldn't know how to lie 4 hours later. When Yi Xian saw the killing array filled with saber aura, she couldn't help but smile. "It's very simple, Gale." 10 hours later. Yi Xian saw a patch of blue flowers, vines, and colorful insects crawling on the ground. Mom. Insects. Chapter 1004. Including Juyin Ling, Han Fei and the others got 6 reclining chairs and were reading under the Rubik's Cube library. The records in this book were quite complicated. Some were brought by the Luo family, some were about the 7 academies, some were about the big families, some were about the 3 holy lands, the 1,000-star proving ground, and some local customs of the 1,000-star city. Han Fei was reading the books about the local customs and social structure of the 1,000-star city. The social structure on the 36 islands of the 1,000-star city was recorded in detail. In addition to these large floating islands, there were actually as many as 108 islands of various sizes in the Thousand-Star City. In addition to the 3 Holy Lands, there were actually some ancient ruins in the Thousand-Star City. Although those places were also amazing, they had long been completely developed. If it was for the sake of improving himself, it would be fine to visit the ruins left behind by the ancient times. However, the secrets of those places had long been excavated. There were even many stone carvings that had been compiled into books and circulated in the world. Also, there seemed to be a festival called the Fire Festival in the Thousand-Star City, which could be considered similar to the Spring Festival. On the eve of the Fire Festival, the heat emitted by the scorching sun would be unstable. At that time, people would sit in their houses and cultivate, because on those days, the concentration of spiritual energy in the Thousand-Star City would be particularly high, which was extremely helpful for cultivation. However, this situation had never happened in the villages. Han Fei couldn't help but wonder if the height, or the space, of the Thousand-Star City was different from that of the villages and towns. Han Fei said, "Xiaobai, little 9, how rich will the spiritual energy be during the Fire Festival?" Luo Xiaobai nodded. "About 3 times. On the day of the Fire Festival, it may reach 5 times. Many people think that the Fire Festival is a gift from the heavens. On the day of the Fire Festival, there is no one on the road in the Thousand-Star City, and everyone is cultivating at home. However, it's easy to catch fire, maybe because the temperature is too high." Juin Ling said, "During the Fire Festival, there seems to be a sound in the sky beyond the sky, like a melody. As for what it is exactly, I don't know." Han Fei nodded. "The Fire Festival is in 4 months. Let's experience it then." Suddenly, Zhang Xuanyu said, "Fei Fei, I saw that. God's Memorial Tower seems to be a maze too." Han Fei immediately perked up. "Where? Let me see." Han Fei threw the book in his hand to Zhang Xuanyu and took it from him. As a result, he saw some decomposed structures. Han Fei sat up straight with a swish. A 4-dimensional triangle? Han Fei was stunned for a long time. This was because the page that Zhang Xuanyu turned to happened to be a 4-dimensional triangle. The so-called 4-dimensional triangle was actually somewhat similar to the Penrose triangle. This triangle also made it impossible for people to distinguish the front and the end, the inside and the outside, because in the 3-dimensional world, it could not be established. Zhang Xuanyu asked in surprise, What triangle?" Han Fei stammered, "Oh, it was nothing. I just feel that this diagram is a little strange." Luo Xiaobai said, "The God's Memorial Tower, to be precise, is indeed a super maze made of countless mazes. The labyrinth took up almost the size of an entire island. Even someone who has grasped the law of space cannot reach the real God's Memorial Tower." Han Fei nodded. "Got it." Han Fei continued to read. What was written in this book was not comprehensive. It was all about various conjectures, deductions, and ways to enter the depths of the God's Memorial Tower. Han Fei felt it was quite interesting. Could this kind of thing be created in the real world? That was simply inconceivable. Han Fei continued to read and saw the Sky Meditation Garden. According to the information, this was a place to cultivate the soul and was a popular place for the heavenly talents in the Thousand-Star City. However, this Sky Meditation Garden was more like a paradise and was also the largest flower market in the Thousand-Star City. Countless manipulators praised it. Han Fei flipped through it with interest and finally saw the Ideal Palace. However, according to the records of the Ideal Palace, people who had been there didn't remember what happened when they came back. It was an extremely abnormal place. Just when Han Fei was about to find other materials to refer to and verify with each other, the tree spirit suddenly appeared under the Rubik's Cube library. "Master, someone is going to pass." Immediately, Han Fei and the others raised their heads and looked at the entrance. Lu Renquang said, "It must be my level. I set the simplest level." Zhang Xuanyu curled his lips. Come on. Think about it, how many fishing masters can attack the same point hundreds of times in a row in a few seconds? Li Luoluo nodded. I bet that a semi-divine weapon must come in from my level. Everyone curled their lips. How dare you bet on a semi-divine weapon? Han Fei shook his head. Not necessarily. Maybe he came in from my level. That boy has been there for 3 days. Mom. Bugs. With a swish, Luo Xiaobai's assessment level was broken. A cute girl appeared out of thin air under the Rubik's Cube library. Han Fei and the others were stunned. Who is this? I don't think I've seen this girl before. Everyone looked at Luo Xiaobai, who was also stunned, as if saying, I don't know either. Whoosh. She glanced around and saw Zhang Xuanyu at a glance. With a swish, she rushed towards Zhang Xuanyu, hugged Zhang Xuanyu's waist, and hung on him. Honey, help! A lot of bugs are biting me. Everyone. Zhang Xuanyu. Zhang Xuanyu looked surprised and hurriedly pulled the little girl off him. Hey, no, little girl, let's have a good talk. You can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. I am your senior brother. Yi Xian nodded immediately. Senior brother husband, my name is Yi Xian. Yi as in Irin, Shi as in return come, Yen as in color. Han Fei and the others stared at Zhang Xuanyu. When did this handsome man, who was ruthless enough to destroy a flower, owe a debt of love? Zhang Xuanyu blushed, which was a rare sight. Although he often flirted with girls, he had never succeeded. What's going on today? He really doesn't know anything. Zhang Xuanyu looked at the little girl, who only reached his chest, and immediately put on a serious posture. He was an adult and had to be serious as a teacher. Zhang Xuanyu coughed. Cough. Yi Xian, right? Well, you can call me senior brother or teacher Zhang, but you can't call me honey. I don't know you. Yi Xian pursed her lips. Why? I came to the Thug Academy because of you. My old man has seen you. You're the best-looking person in the Thug Academy, so it's you. What do you mean it's me? What am I? Han Fei immediately swallowed. History was always shockingly similar. Although he didn't know what happened, Yi Xian and Zhuyin Ling seemed to be on the same side. Could it be that Yi Xian also cultivated the freedom technique? Han Fei couldn't help but ask, it's not a branch of your family, is it? Zhuyin Ling blushed and shook her head. No. Zhang Xuanyu quickly dodged. Girl, you're too young. I'm not very interested in you. Hey, don't be so arrogant. As she spoke, Yi Xian had already grabbed the corner of Zhang Xuanyu's clothes and said, I'm very interested in you. Zhang Xuanyu, you're shockingly good-looking, have a good personality, and are very talented. You're very suitable for dual cultivation. Pooh. Zhang Xuanyu was about to go crazy. I don't King know you. What dual cultivation? Yi Xian put her hands on her hips and said, My mother said that our family has a special dual cultivation technique. The most important thing in a girl's life is to find a suitable person for dual cultivation. My father, my mother, and my old man have all investigated you. You can't run away. Besides, the Thug Academy has always been popular for dual cultivation. It's much better than the Jade Fairy Palace. Everyone seemed to understand something. Lu Renquang couldn't help but take a breath. Is this considered a blessing from heaven? Han Fei said leisurely, I'm just afraid that he can't take it. Luo Xiaobai's face was black. What kind of person did he meet? Zhang Xuanyu ran away. Fei, I'm escaping. Keep an eye on her. Don't let her do anything. Yi Xian chased after him and shouted, Darling, don't run. Han Fei couldn't help but ask curiously, Well, Yi Xian? Did you know Zhang Xuanyu before? Yi Xian sat down on Zhang Xuanyu's recliner. I don't know him. However, my mother's taste is the best in the world. If my mother says there's no problem, there's definitely no problem. Anyway, he won't be able to escape. Yi Xian seemed to remember that she wasn't at home but at the Thug Academy. She immediately jumped down from the chair and said respectfully to Han Fei and the others, "Greetings, senior brothers and senior sisters. You can call me Yen Yen. I have a level 8 high-quality spiritual heritage and like to chat. My goal in life is to find the best husband in the world and then dual cultivate to become a king." Everyone, bam! Under the Rubik's Cube library, Su Sanxian knelt on the ground, his entire body convulsing. He felt that his worldview had collapsed. Yi Xian was so talented, but she actually wanted to come to the Thug Academy? Furthermore, she wanted to date a senior brother as soon as she arrived? How could there be such a good thing? Su Daiji wasn't interested. While everyone was chatting, she supported herself with one hand on the ground and spun the Rubik's Cube in her other hand. The corners of Han Fei's mouth twitched as he said to Su Sanxian and Su Daiji, "Rest for a while. When everyone is here, get to know each other." Su Daiji got up, lowered her hands, and began to spin the Rubik's Cube. Su Sanxian was sizing up the strange atmosphere. Ever since he entered the school, although his senior brothers and sisters were very strong, he always felt that they were a little unreliable. Han Fei looked at Yi Xian and said, "Since you're here, from today onwards, you are a member of the Thug Academy. We have no objections if you want to dual cultivate with Zhang Xuanyu. However, this team has to work well together. Also, do you see them? When everyone is here, the 5 of you will have to cultivate. Go and get to know each other first." "Yes, senior brother." Yi Xian shouted and ran towards Su Daiji. Su Sanxian wasn't handsome, so she wasn't interested. However, the thing in Su Daiji's hand seemed to be very fun, just like the big box on her head. Yi Xian said, "Hello, what are your names?" Su Sanxian hesitated a little, thinking, this should be a genius from a large clan, right? He felt a little guilty. He had never seen a noble young lady before. Su Sanxian, my name is Su Sanxian." Su Daiji didn't even raise her head and said directly, "Su Daiji." Yi Xian immediately exclaimed, "Daiji, what are you playing with? It looks like it's fun. It's so cute." Su Daiji was stunned and looked at Yi Xian. "Do you like it too?" Yi Xian nodded repeatedly. Su Daiji immediately grinned and took out her precious third-order Rubik's Cube and gave it to Su Daiji. "Play with this first. If you can figure it out, ask senior brother Han for a fourth-order one." A moment later, Han Fei and the others saw the 2 girls playing with the Rubik's Cube. Su Sanxian stood at the side. He wondered if he should ask senior brother for a Rubik's Cube too. Han Fei looked at the 3 of them and said leisurely, "You're very friendly and have an astonishing affinity. Zhang Xuanyu is doomed this time." Chapter 1005. The tree spirit had no idea about this. He couldn't expect a tree to find a partner, could he? He said, "Master, there are 2 more people who will arrive soon." Han Fei nodded. "Okay." At this time, Li Luoluo secretly said, "Is this child a chatterbox?" Lu Renquang nodded. "I think you should take care of this matter. A level 8 spiritual heritage, and a level 8 high-quality one. Have you heard of the Yi family?" Luo Xiaobai shook her head. Juyin Ling said, "I think I know." Everyone looked at Juyin Ling. Under normal circumstances, there was no reason for a clan with such high talent to be an unknown clan. Juyin Ling said, "My father once said that the Yi family once had a strong master who almost became a king. In the history of the Yi family, there was once a strong master who almost became a king. At its most prosperous time, there were 3 venerables in one family." Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. "Isn't this family a bit strong?" Luo Xiaobai frowned and said, "3 venerables? Why haven't I heard of the Yi family?" Juyin Ling said, "That was the most glorious time. It seemed to be to break through to the king realm or something. All 3 venerables died. As a result, the family was suppressed and declined. It's said that the Yi family's bloodline is extremely rare, and women are usually in charge. It seems that the women of the Yi family can give birth to talented people. However, they are very picky." Han Fei couldn't help but click his tongue. There's such a family? But since the women of the Yi family can give birth to talented children, why is the Yi family still lonely? Juyin Ling pursed her lips and said, "It's all because of talent. The children of the Yi family's women are never less talented than themselves. They will only be stronger. And the stronger the talent, the harder it is to give birth. Therefore, after a long time, the Yi family has more and more strong masters and fewer descendants. However, experts could fall in various ways. Until now, the Yi family had declined. According to my father, the Yi family no longer dares to show their faces outside. Because many big clans want to capture their family members as furnaces to breed stronger bloodlines." Li Luoluo exclaimed, "Isn't that too much? Captured as furnaces? How pitiful is that?" Juyin Ling nodded. In the past, many large families had marriages with the Yi family. Nowadays, many large clans have become so powerful. More or less, they all have traces of the Yi clan. Han Fei suddenly said, "Are you saying that the children of the Yi family are not less talented than themselves? In other words, Yi Xian's parents were very strong?" Juyin Ling nodded again. "They shouldn't be weak. At their level, it would be very difficult for them to have children. Therefore, Yi Xian's parents might be much older than her." Han Fei immediately rose. "Yan Yan, are your elders here?" Yi Xian, who was competing with the Rubik's Cube, looked up at Han Fei and suddenly jumped up with a scream. I forgot, the old man is still outside." Han Fei immediately said, "Let's go and see your old man." After a while, outside the maze, Han Fei looked around. "Where is it?" Yi Xian looked around and immediately stomped her feet. She howled, "He ran away. The old man ran away." Han Fei rolled his eyes. "Then where is your home? Do you know?" Yi Xian said pitifully, "He must have run away too. My stinky father wanted to have a son, so he must have abducted my mother." Han Fei suddenly felt a touch of sadness. "Once, there might have been 3 explorer-level experts standing in front of me. However, I didn't cherish them. I shouldn't have neglected my duty. I should have been sitting at the door, so that they couldn't run away. Alas!" Han Fei heaved a long sigh. "What a pity! 3 explorers. They flew away just like that." Yi Xian said resentfully, Okay, don't let me find them." At this time, many people saw Han Fei bring out a girl, and someone immediately recognized Yi Xian. "Didn't she just come in the morning? Did she pass the assessment?" Some parents gathered around. "President Han, is this a new student of the Thug Academy?" Han Fei nodded and said, "Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, the 3 enrollment spots of the Thug Academy may be full. Thank you for your enthusiasm. However, the rules are the rules. If you want to enter the Thug Academy, you can only wait for the next time." Someone immediately said, "President Han, when is the next time? President Han, how many spots will there be next time?" Han Fei grinned and smiled faintly. "When is the next time? I'm not too sure. You have to know that the Thug Academy will provide a huge amount of resources and great efforts in training talent. Therefore, it's impossible to recruit students often, nor can it recruit many students at once. Okay, that's all I have to say. I need to invigilate the exam." With that, Han Fei teleported back with Yi Xian. Luo Xiaobai asked, "How is it?" Han Fei shook his head slightly. "Let's go." Han Fei wondered if the Yi family just wanted to throw the burden to the Thug Academy. Because if what Juyin Ling said was true, once Yi Xian was discovered by the big families, she would definitely be captured and used as a cauldron. The Thug Academy happened to oppose the big families of the Thousand-Star City. Once she became a student of the Thug Academy, anyone who dared to kidnap her would be an enemy of the Thug Academy. And now, the big families were afraid and wouldn't attack the Thug Academy easily. Therefore, it was very safe for Yi Xian to be placed in the Thug Academy. Firstly, the Thug Academy was full of geniuses. Secondly, It might be inconvenient for 3 explorers to take a child with them. Once something happened, it would be difficult to protect Ixien. After all, they were facing at least explorer-level people. It couldn't be that the 3 explorers and the law enforcers would oppose them, right? Thirdly, coming to the Thug Academy was also an opportunity. The Thug Academy was recognized as the best in training disciples. Thinking about this, Han Fei couldn't help but sigh. He pondered that Zhang Xuanyu could take Ixien in. This way, his future children might have a level 9 spiritual heritage. Oh, if they really did, Zhang Xuanyu would be the father of a genius. Ixien said, "Senior brother, don't worry. Dad just went to give birth. He'll definitely come back." Han Fei rolled his eyes. Who knows when he'll come back? If something happened and they couldn't arrive in time, what could they do? Han Fei said helplessly, "Okay, go play with Su Daiji and the others." Bam! Before Han Fei could talk to Luo Xiaobai and the others, he saw a girl suddenly appear under the library. The girl took a closer look and saw Han Fei and the others. At first glance, she noticed that there were only 3 people of the same age here. She immediately heaved a sigh of relief. She suddenly grinned and said, "Hello, senior brother, senior sister." Boom! Almost as soon as the girl finished speaking, a young man lay on the ground and appeared under the library. This young man's clothes were ragged and his face was covered in dust. He looked as if he had been bombed many times. "I finally succeeded. Ha ha ha, I finally succeeded." The young man quickly got up and looked around. Seeing that there were already 4 people of the same age, he was overjoyed. He had made it. He had entered the Thug Academy. The young man hurriedly said loudly, "Hello, President, teacher." Han Fei waved his hand and said, "Okay, don't call me President. Just call me senior brother and senior sister. The 2 of you introduce yourselves." The girl said seriously, "Senior brother, my name is Gu Qi, an armorist, a descendant of the Gu family of the Southern 5 Cliffs, with a level 4 high-quality spiritual heritage. My parents both died in the unknown place." Gu Qi made it clear. Since the Thug Academy could accept a descendant of the Su family with a level 3 spiritual heritage, why couldn't they accept her? After all, he had relied on himself to get in. Han Fei nodded and cast the divine healing technique on Gu Qi. "Did you burn your life to get in?" Gu Qi nodded. She had no choice. Without burning her life, she couldn't get in at all. Han Fei flipped his hand and a ball of spirit awakening fluid flew over. "Good. Hurry up and drink this, then go ask your senior martial sister for a vitality-type spirit fruit and eat it." Gu Qi saw that it was spirit awakening fluid and looked at Han Fei in surprise. "Senior brother, is this spirit awakening fluid? It's very valuable, isn't it?" Han Fei grinned and said, "It's not bad. 5,000 high-quality pearls per caddy." "Wow!" Gu Qi was shocked. 5,000 high-quality pearls per caddy? And he gave it to her? Next door, Su Sanqian's eyes widened. This bit of spirit awakening fluid is worth 5,000 high-quality pearls? There are a few caddies here, right? Xingyu also looked at Han Fei in astonishment. "Me too. I'm seriously injured. I need it too." On the other hand, Su Daji and Ixien didn't react at all. One was focused on playing with the cube, and the other really didn't care. Gu Qi didn't care about her image. She opened her mouth and began to suck. In a moment, she sucked up all the spirit awakening fluid. Gu Qi's expression changed slightly. "Oh no, senior brother, I'm about to break through." Luo Xiaobai said, "Come here. Eat this before you break through." After all, Gu Qi was still weak. If she hadn't overdrafted her life and burned her blood, Han Fei wouldn't have given her a chance to break through now. Luo Xiaobai gave her a vital spiritual fruit. After Gu Qi took it, she sat cross-legged on the ground and began to break through. Xingyu swallowed and quickly came back to her senses. "Senior brother, my name is Xingyu, a spirit gatherer with a level 5 high-quality spiritual heritage. I'm a native of the Pure Sun Island. My father should be outside the maze right now. Han Fei nodded slightly and cast the divine healing technique over. Then, he casually threw a piece of clothing over. Go get to know your classmates. Han Fei looked at Luo Xiaobai. Luo Xiaobai said, Grandpa Ku. Ku Shui appeared like a ghost. Miss, what can I do for you? Luo Xiaobai said, Go investigate. Ku Shui nodded and disappeared. He definitely had to investigate. Su Sanxian and Su Daji were both members of the Su family. Xing Yu and Gu Qi's investigation was simple. If it was really as they said, there would naturally be no problem. As for Yixian, it would be difficult. He had to make her come with him later. He wanted to see if anyone was still there. Chapter 1006. Outside the maze, Han Fei and the others led Yixian and the other four out. At this moment, night had already fallen. However, there was still a sea of people outside the maze. When everyone saw Han Fei and the others appear, they looked at the 5 youths beside Han Fei and the others almost at the same time. Needless to say, Su Sanxian and Su Daiji were members of the Su family. In the crowd, some members of the Su family smiled. They had truly been recognized by the Thug Academy. Furthermore, the birth of a new generation of disciples of the Thug Academy was a joyous occasion. After finding out the origins of the other 3, they had to go back and report the good news. Son! Suddenly, someone in the crowd shouted and rushed to the front of everyone. It was a rather elegant middle-aged man. Perhaps because he saw that his child had entered the Thug Academy, he was beaming with joy. His face was flushed, and he couldn't stop smiling. Xing Yu shouted, Dad! The middle-aged man came up and thanked him. Thank you, President Han. Ha! Thank you, thank you. As he spoke, the middle-aged man placed his hand on Xing Yu's head. I knew it. I knew it. My child will definitely be fine. In the future, you must study hard in school. Don't be lazy. The middle-aged man rambled on and on, while Han Fei smiled at everyone else. Everyone, as you can see, the 3 spots have been filled. The Thug Academy's enrollment has ended. In addition, since the Thug Academy has returned, we won't be unreasonable. From today onwards, the maze will be restricted to the outside world. At most, 1,000 people can enter at a time. Although the Thug Academy's enrollment is full, the maze will be of great help to those children. However, the last checkpoint will be sealed. I hope everyone is mentally prepared. Sigh. What a pity. It's full just like that. Someone said enviously, I know this child, Xing Yu. He's indeed outstanding. However, his spiritual heritage doesn't seem to be very high. Someone was puzzled. Which family are the other 2 youths from? Han Fei said, There's something I think I need to remind everyone. Spiritual heritage is indeed very important, but it's not absolute. You can't just look at spiritual heritage. Everyone has their own luck and talent. I hope you won't be limited by the dead rule of spiritual heritage. Luo Xiaobai said, Everyone, let's disperse later. Then he turned around and went back. In the spiritual plant maze, a voice sounded. All candidates, the Thug Academy's enrollment is full. Those who wish to continue the trial will not be able to enter the Thug Academy. From today onwards, the labyrinth will be open to the public. Everyone can go back now. As soon as this voice came out, the labyrinth immediately exploded. What? Are all 3 of them here? Damn it, why are they all here? Some people were already riddled with injuries at the last 50 kilometers of the checkpoint. When they heard the voice, they were completely stunned. Some of the children were fine and did not react much. In any case, it seemed that he really couldn't break through. However, this test had made him realize his own abilities. Some people frowned and were teleported out of the maze. Some people were sighing. It seemed that they were disappointed because they were not talented enough. Some people were also suspicious. Was this a trick of the Thug Academy? Was it to trick people into giving up, but in fact they had to work harder? But they didn't care about that anymore. At this moment, in the back mountain, Han Fei instructed, "Everyone, build your own houses and tree houses. We don't have dormitories in the Thug Academy, so we have to rely on ourselves." Lu Renquang said, "After the treehouse is built, let's eat. If there's anything, we'll talk about it tomorrow morning." Joeen Ling had now completely changed from a little fairy to a girl from an ordinary family. She was also building a treehouse. However, the location of the treehouse was right next to Han Fei's. Although she had obtained the heavenly music book, logically speaking, she should have walked and seen a lot and gained experience in the mortal world. However, since the crisis of the comfort and nature technique had been solved, she wanted to stay in the Thug Academy for a while longer. Gu Qi had already completed her breakthrough. At this moment, she was an intermediate fishing master. After a while, she ran to Han Fei. "Senior brother, I have something to tell you." Han Fei asked, "What's the matter?" Gu Qi lowered her head and said, "Senior brother, I secretly ran out without telling my family. They don't know yet. Han Fei said lightly, "Tomorrow, I'll go with you to the southern 5 cliff. "Thank you, senior brother." Gu Qi happily ran to build a house. Hearing Han Fei's words, she was relieved. Otherwise, if her family found out in the future, who knew what would happen? After all, she had no status at home. Besides, when did she escape from the marriage? The next morning, Han Fei took Gu Qi and flew straight to the southern 5 cliff. The so-called southern 5 cliffs was because there were 5 high cliffs on this floating island, so it was famous. However, on the floating island of the southern 5 cliff, there were not only the Gu family, but as many as 6 families. The Gu family was just one of the big families. But even so, the Gu family couldn't be underestimated. After all, as long as a family could settle down on the 36 main islands, they had a certain strength. At least, there were explorer-level powerhouses in their families. This was the basic element. If a so-called family didn't even have an explorer, it would be the end of the family. This was also why the Su family had to suck up to the Thug Academy. Although there were 2 explorer-level powerhouses in the Su family, once they died, Su Yang definitely wouldn't be able to protect the family alone. Han Fei asked, "Gu Qi, how is your relationship with your family?" Gu Qi said, "Very bad. Big families have no feelings and only know how to exploit others. They wanted to marry me, so I had to run away. So I sneaked to the Pure Sun Island. It just so happened that our academy was recruiting students, so I came." Han Fei couldn't help but click his tongue. Ever since he started asking about the big families, there had never been any good comment. It seemed that they were all unreliable. On a floating island, there was also a division of towns. The Gu family relied on Qingshan Town. And this Qingshan Town was basically the Gu family's property. According to Gu Qi, the Gu family had an advanced explorer who seemed to be less than 1,000 years old. There was also a peak-level law enforcer who was about to break through to become an explorer. Therefore, it was not surprising that the Gu family had such a property. Gu Qi said, "Senior brother, this is it." Han Fei saw a large house built against the mountains and rivers, which looked like a small village. The residents here were scattered, but they were all planned in one area. Han Fei said in surprise, "Is this the main branch and the subsidiary branches separated?" Gu Qi nodded. "Yes, but they still live together." Han Fei landed at the archway of the Gu family. If he flew directly to the main house, it seemed that he would be disrespecting the explorers. After all, he had just returned from the Thug Academy, and it was not good to be too high-profile. In front of the decorated archway, a guard from the Gu family had an ugly expression on his face when he saw Gu Qi. "Gu Qi, how dare you? A few days ago, you found an excuse to sneak away and caused us to be punished for nothing. Come with me to the main house to receive your punishment." Gu Qi hid behind Han Fei. Only then did the guards notice Han Fei. Han Fei looked back and found that someone was spying on him, but now he ran away. He didn't know why. In front of him, the leading guard was a junior hidden fisher. He looked at Han Fei with an ugly face. Your Excellency, what do you mean? Han Fei said with a faint smile. Gu Qi is now a student of the Thug Academy, and I am his senior brother. I came here today to tell him that I'm taking him away. Thug Academy? In the dust of history, the name Thug Academy had not appeared for 38 years. Many people had forgotten about it. The guard sneered. I thought you were from the 7 major sects. If you are not from the 7 major sects, you want to take him away from the Gu family? Guards surround him. If you know what's good for you, hand him over. Clatter! Han Fei snapped his fingers, and suddenly, 7 or 8 guards within 100 meters all staggered and fell to one knee. Han Fei said lightly, I don't want to embarrass you. Since I'm here to talk to you. Please inform the main house that Han Fei, the acting president of the Thug Academy, has come to visit. As Han Fei withdrew the gravity, the faces of these guards changed drastically. So strong. Did I misjudge him? Is he a law enforcer? Immediately, the guard got up, snorted, took out his fishing boat, and quickly flew to the main house. What happened just now gave Gu Qi a lot of confidence. At the same time, he was also amazed by senior brother's strength. He didn't even move, and these usually strong guards all fell to the ground. In front of the archway, people passed by one after another, and many people recognized Gu Qi. Those who didn't see the scene just now changed their faces when they saw Gu Qi. Chi-Chi, you're in big trouble this time. I heard that the Zhou family next door had just sent the betrothal gifts, and you ran away. The Zhou family was furious and said they would settle the score with our family. Gu Qi's face darkened. I won't marry him. I didn't get a share of the betrothal gifts, nor did they give me any money or resources. I'm not going to marry him. Someone tried to persuade her, Chi-Chi. It's not bad. Have you forgotten the year before last? Gu Xiaoba will be miserable if she marries the Qian family. Someone was about to step forward, but Han Fei slightly released his aura, which made many people slightly shocked. Where did this girl find a backer? Or did she bring a man back? After a while, Han Fei frowned and looked at a guard. Is the main house far away? Why hasn't he arrived yet? The guard said awkwardly, the main house is also busy. Han Fei sneered. Busy? Is he busy making a baby? It's only a short distance. Is he busy? Han Fei thought to himself, wait a little longer. If he still doesn't come, I'll take him away. If he has the ability, come to the Thug Academy to find me. Suddenly, Han Fei looked back, only to find that dozens of fishing boats were flying at him with hostility. Chapter 1007. Those fishing boats obviously didn't come with good intentions. The people who came down from above were also very aggressive, as if they were going to denounce him. Among them, the strongest was a law enforcer. What level was he at? Han Fei couldn't tell. However, he should be at least an intermediate one. At this moment, Han Fei finally understood why the Gu family hadn't arrived yet. It turned out that Gu Qi's escape from the wedding had humiliated the Gu family. Therefore, they simply waited for the Zhou family to take her away. Anyway, the Gu family had already accepted the betrothal gift. In the crowd, there was a young man who looked about the same age as him. He was probably at least 18 years old. At this moment, his face was dark. Good Gu Qi, you actually ran away from the wedding and made me lose face in the Zhou family. Now you're back? Hurry up and get over here. Gu Qi blushed. Zhou Tai, I have nothing to do with you. Who said I was going to marry you? I won't marry you. Bastard. Zhou Tai was furious and immediately wanted to go forward to take her away. As for Han Fei, who was as young as him, he didn't take him seriously at all and thought he was from the Gu family. Gu Qi, don't be so shameless. Now come to me voluntarily and obediently. Perhaps I can spare your life. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. Young master, wait a minute. Suddenly, Zhou Tai was pulled by a hand and a middle-aged man came to his side. Zhou Tai was burning with anger. How could he give in? He wanted to shake off this hand, only to find that he couldn't. Suddenly, Zhou Tai became a little sober. What's going on? The middle-aged man looked at Han Fei. Who are you? Han Fei said leisurely, Why, you finally remember to ask me who I am. The middle-aged man smiled lightly. You're already a peak-level hidden fisher at such a young age. If you were from the Gu family, I would have known you. So, little friend, which family are you from? Han Fei smiled contemptuously. Do I have to be from an aristocratic family? I am Gu Qi's senior brother. The middle-aged man frowned. The 7 major sects? Han Fei shook his head. No. The middle-aged man was puzzled, but his expression also changed. You're not from an aristocratic family, nor are you from one of the 7 great sections. Young friend, could it be that you want to meddle in the affairs of my Zhou clan? From the middle-aged man's point of view, the Gu family's status was even lower than the Zhou family's. If he was acquainted with powerful sects and clans, it wouldn't stop there. Since Han Fei was not from the 7 major sects, he must be from an ordinary small sect. There were at least 80 such academies in the 1,000-star city. Normally, it was already very rare for an explorer to be in charge of such a school. Who would take them seriously? The middle-aged man said faintly, Let Gu Qi come here. The Zhou family won't pursue the matter. Han Fei chuckled. What if I refuse? Without waiting for the middle-aged man to speak, Zhou Tai was already infuriated. What an arrogant brat! No one in the southern 5 cliffs has ever dared to be so arrogant with me. You are the first. Take him down. The middle-aged man did not object. He wanted to see how strong Han Fei was. He didn't need to worry about such a small matter. Immediately, 3 peak-level hidden fishers rushed over. Clack! Bam! In an instant, the 3 peak-level hidden fishers all fell to the ground. Under the law of gravity, it was impossible for them to get up at all. At this moment, even without using any secret techniques, Han Fei's pure strength had already reached 2 waves. How could ordinary hidden fishers resist him? The middle-aged man's face changed drastically. The power of law. You are not a hidden fisher, but a law enforcer? Han Fei smiled coldly. So what if I am a hidden fisher? So what if I am a law enforcer? Since Gu Qi is a student of this academy, he will be a member of this academy from now on. The middle-aged man's face turned ugly. Okay, let's see what school dares to rob a member of the Zhou family. Zhou Tai cursed. Gu Qi UB*TCH, do you think a lousy academy can help you? What do you think the Zhou family is? An ordinary family? You think you can come and go as you please? Uncle Qing, tear them apart for me. Han Fei murmured, Devil change. At the moment when Uncle Qing's phantom clenched his fist, a terrifying golden fist mark rumbled out. Bam! In an instant there was a loud explosion. Everyone, including Zhou Tai, was sent flying, and the archway of the Gu family collapsed. Gu Qi was fine. Looking at Han Fei's figure, she suddenly felt that he was so tall. Is this the Thug Academy? Is this my senior brother? My teacher and the president didn't even see him, but my senior brother is already so strong. Then in the future, will I also have a chance to become so strong? Uncle Qing obviously didn't expect Han Fei to be so strong. Carelessly, he was blasted back dozens of steps, his arms trembling, and blood dripping down his fingers. And the others all vomited blood. Whether it was the Zhou family or the Gu family, only those spectators who were far away were spared. Han Fei's voice echoed in the sky. In the whole world, the Zhou family is the first one who dares to say that the Thug Academy is a lousy academy. What? Just 2 declining families, how can they be so arrogant? Immediately, the onlookers rolled their eyes at Han Fei. F***ck, who the hell is arrogant? Zhou Tai was shocked. This person is obviously the same age as me. Why is his strength so terrifying? He was immediately horrified. You. Don't mess around. There are 2 explorer patriarchs in the Zhou family. You'd better think it over. Han Fei didn't even look at him but looked at the middle-aged man whose face had changed drastically. What? Is the Zhou family going to rob a student of the Thug Academy? Uncle Qing's face changed. He had heard the news that the Thug Academy had returned. At that time, he was a little shocked. Thugs. Back then, it was a super academy that suppressed the 7 major sects and only had heavenly talent. But now they actually accepted Guqi? But Guqi's talent was mediocre. What was worth the Thug Academy's attention? Uncle Qing's face changed, and he looked back. Little friend, Guqi is engaged to my young master. Han Fei sneered. After entering the Thug Academy, you're free to love. Do you think it's an engagement? What do you think the Thug Academy is? Han Fei looked at Guqi. Little Qi, are you willing to marry that fool? Guqi shook her head. I'm not getting married. I'm definitely not getting married. Han Fei shrugged. Did you hear that? Was it not loud enough, or was it not detailed enough? As he spoke, he looked at the sky. Are the people of the Gu family all dead? Since you don't want to come out, I'll take him with me. If you have the guts, go to the Thug Academy and ask for him. But I'll say this here, whoever wants to ask for him should first think about their own strength. In terms of bragging, no one in the Thug Academy dared to say that they were the best. He was just a hidden fisher, but he pretended to be a venerable and was extremely domineering. Whoosh! An old man appeared. The Gu family did not send the enforcers out to keep up appearances. The explorer came in person. The old man didn't seem to care about the scene in front of him at all. Instead, he smiled and said, "So you're an outstanding disciple of the Thug Academy. My Gu family has been negligent in this matter. Since you're here, please come to the main residence for a chat." Han Fei curled his lips. You didn't let me in just now. Sorry, I won't go in now. Today, I'm here to inform you of this. Guqi has already joined the Thug Academy. From now on, he will be a student of the Thug Academy. Because there are extremely few students in our academy, we have always been biased. Senior of the Gu family, please forgive me. I'll take him away today. The old man narrowed his eyes slightly. Little friend, aren't you a little too domineering? After all, Guqi is a disciple of the Gu family. You'll have to give me an explanation if you take him away like this, won't you? Han Fei immediately sneered and looked at the old man. You're too narrow-minded. You want an explanation from the Thug Academy? Are you sure? The old man's face darkened slightly. I heard that no teacher of the Thug Academy has returned. There are a few young friends who haven't become law enforcers yet. Aren't you a little too arrogant? Han Fei grinned and said, The Thug Academy has always been like this. Well, when I first came to the Thousand Star City, there was an ignorant disciple of the Chu sect who tried to stop me, but I crippled him. I didn't see the Chu sect come to me for an explanation. Why, Senior Gu, do you really want an explanation from the Thug Academy? As soon as he said this, the expressions of the Zhou family and the Gu family changed. They really didn't know about this. A disciple of the Chu sect was crippled by Han Fei? This news was extraordinary. Since Han Fei dared to touch a disciple of the Chu sect, it meant that the power behind Han Fei was beyond their imagination. That was why the Chu sect didn't react. Han Fei chuckled, took out the Wind God boat, and glanced at the Zhou family and the Gu family. I'm taking him away. Who has a problem? Seeing that neither side answered, Han Fei glanced at Guqi. Let's go back to school. After Han Fei flew away, the old man of the Gu family pondered for a moment and looked at the Zhou family. I'm really sorry. The Gu family will return double the betrothal gift. From today onwards, this matter has nothing to do with the Gu family. However, in my opinion, the Zhou family should try not to interfere for the time being. At least, now is not the time. Zhou Tai looked at the middle-aged man and said angrily, Uncle Qing. Uncle Qing shook his head slightly. Let's go back. On the way. Guqi's eyes were full of admiration as he looked at Han Fei. He's too powerful. Her senior brother, a hidden fisher, was so domineering in front of a real explorer. Just this scene alone had completely subdued her. She never expected that the academy she randomly entered would be so strong. Han Fei rolled his eyes. Hey, hey, hey! Get rid of that look in your eyes. Remember, this is the Thug Academy's style of doing things. In the future, don't ruin our prestige. I won't. Gucci immediately straightened his back. Gucci will never ruin the prestige of the Thug Academy in the future. Han Fei grunted and thought to himself, I wonder what Xiaobai's harvest is today? Chapter 1008. After Han Fei returned to the academy, there were still thousands of people in the maze who hadn't given up. Of course, Han Fei didn't care about them. When he came to the back mountain, Lu Renquang was making dumplings. Su Sanxian and Xing Yu were assisting him, while Yi Xian was causing trouble. This girl was probably the only talkative person the Thug Academy had recruited so far. At this moment, Yi Xian made a fish-shaped dumpling and ran to Zhang Xuanyu. Darling, look, I made a little fish. Zhang Xuanyu's face darkened. I told you not to call me darling. Got it, darling. After a while, Yi Xian made another ball and pulled out some thorns. She ran to Zhang Xuanyu. Darling, look, I made a ballfish. Lu Renquang rolled his eyes. Zhang Xuanyu, can you take this little clingy person away? She's ruining my flower. Zhang Xuanyu said angrily, What does it have to do with me? Juyin Ling and Li Luoluo were also trying to make dumplings. They learned very quickly. Li Luoluo threw a colorful worm in from time to time. Let's compete and see whose luck is better. Lu Renquang threw all her dumplings to her side in disdain. I hate bugs, and I hate eating bugs even more. Luo Xiaobai sat on the tree while Su Daiji was playing with the cube. Furthermore, she had already put together the fourth-order cube. At this moment, she was holding a third-order Rubik's Cube in one hand and a fourth-order Rubik's Cube in the other. As soon as Han Fei landed with Gucci, Yi Xian shouted, Chi-Chi, come and make dumplings. Gucci was surprised. I'm coming. Su Daiji had already run to Han Fei and extended her hand. Han Fei looked at her. Oh, she's done with the fourth order too? But he didn't panic. He was already prepared. From the fifth to the sixth, he had done a total of 10. Anyway, it was enough for Su Daiji to play with for a long time. Han Fei threw the fifth-order cube to Su Daiji. Su Daiji smiled sweetly, and then began to spin again. After sending Su Daiji away, Han Fei looked at Luo Xiaobai. How is it? Luo Xiaobai shook her head slightly. When we arrived, the building was already empty. Yi Xian and the old man she spoke of have already escaped. They did not leave any traces behind. Han Fei couldn't help but sigh. I should have known. Luo Xiaobai asked, How about you? How about going to the Gu family? Han Fei said casually, I ran into a little trouble, but it's not a big problem. Luo Xiaobai nodded. The academy's land has been taken back, and the students have been recruited. Your body tempering technique is probably enough for them to practice for a while. In addition to the cultivation methods in the library, their strength will probably improve very quickly in the next 3 months. Han Fei nodded. This was different from when they first met. Back then, although they had also grown very quickly, they did not have the conditions they had now. At that time, he didn't have any resources or weapons. There were enough cultivation techniques and battle techniques, but everyone focused on different things, so they didn't learn too much. As for Su Sanxian and the others, they had cultivation techniques, combat skills, and resources. However, they had to consider going to the trial ground. Han Fei asked, Is there an arena on the Pure Sun Island? Luo Xiaobai said in surprise, You want them to fight in the arena now? Han Fei shook his head. It's still too early. We have to go to the 1,000-star testing ground first and snatch a few trial grounds. Otherwise, no matter how strong they are, it's useless. Luo Xiaobai nodded. That's right. The 1,000-star testing ground is indeed imperative. We have to hurry. There is an arena on the Pure Sun Island, but it should be more difficult than when we were in Blue Sea Town. If they want to win 100 matches in a row there, their basic skills aren't enough. Also, who do you think should be the captain of the 5 of them? Han Fei grinned. This is something you should consider. Luo Xiaobai nodded and looked at everyone. After this meal, cultivate. I want to conduct a comprehensive ability test on the 5 of you. When Su Sanxian and the others heard this, their expressions changed slightly. They thought to themselves, we can't be negligent. We have to work hard to unleash all our advantages. Han Fei said, from now on, without our permission, you are not allowed to break through. Especially Guqi. In order to make up for your potential, you have already broken through once. You have to be crushed to death. Before everyone catches up to you, you can't make another breakthrough. Guqi said in surprise, everyone? Guqi looked at Sudaiji, who was playing with the Rubik's Cube. This little girl was only a level 8 fisher, and had never experienced spiritual awakening. How long would it take for her to catch up to him? However, thinking that Han Fei should have a lot of spirit awakening fluid on him, Guqi didn't say anything. She pondered. Since senior brother made such a rule, he must have his reasons. Han Fei looked at Su Daiji and said, Daiji, I'll give you 3 months. In 3 months, advance to an intermediate fishing master. Otherwise, there won't be any 6th grade and 7th grade Rubik's Cubes to play with in the future. Hearing this, Su Daiji immediately stopped and said anxiously, No. Su Daiji didn't like to talk, but when she heard that Han Fei wasn't going to let her play, she panicked. Han Fei said, So, you have to break through quickly. Li Luoluo immediately said, Isn't it too fast? You've made her improve too much in the past 3 months, haven't you? Han Fei grinned. In order to prevent Su Daiji from improving too fast and unstable, everyone, take 3 hours a day to suppress your realm to the same level as Daiji. 4 against 1, train her. At that time, everyone, including Yi Xian, was dumbfounded. 4 of us against her? She's the youngest. Su Daiji curled her lips. I don't like fighting. Han Fei didn't give Su Daiji a chance to escape. You have to fight me even if you don't like it. When you can last for half an hour under the hands of the 4 of them. Juyin Ling said, Is Daji's talent so high? Lu Renquang said, Fei, are you doubting her? Not doubting. Su Daiji must have a growing spiritual heritage. Her endurance, reaction speed, and IQ are all extremely high, but she has never used them herself. Besides, her performance on the spiritual heritage testing stone made the Su family mistakenly think that her aptitude was not good and she was just a little special. That's why we picked her up. Luo Xiaobai asked, Do you think Daji will become the strongest among them? Han Fei counted carefully. Su Sanxian is a manipulator, Guqi is an armorist, Xing Yu is a spirit gatherer and a soul warrior, and Yi Xian is a hunter and a soul warrior. Then, Su Daiji will be a pure soul warrior, the strongest one. Everyone wasn't too sure about Han Fei's judgment. However, if Su Daiji finally chose to be a soul warrior, then this team would become a perfect combination again. Li Luoluo was interested. Then we have to make Yanyan more inclined to be a hunter. I'll be responsible for this. Xing Yu being able to pass Han Fei's assessment meant that he was more talented as a spirit gatherer. So, there was no doubt about it. After a moment, at the dining table, Yi Xian said, Darling, dumplings are so delicious. Eat more. What's this sour thing? Do we eat every day in school? This is too blissful. Yi Xian blabbered on. Han Fei said leisurely, Yi Xian, when it's time to eat, just eat properly. Don't babble. After Han Fei said that, Yi Xian's voice dropped by an octave, and she rubbed against Zhang Xuanyu. Darling, let me feed you. Han Fei almost spat out a mouthful of food. Damn it, I can't live like this anymore. After the meal, below the library, Luo Xiaobai looked at everyone and pointed at Han Fei. Now, the 5 of you, use all your strength to attack Han Fei. Everyone was shocked. They weren't on the same level at all. How could they fight? There was a hint of slyness in Luo Xiaobai's eyes. Han Fei can only use the strength of a level 8 fisher. As for you, think of a way to last 30 minutes. Su Sanqian and Xing Yu looked at each other. Isn't this too much? You want us to last 30 minutes with the strength of a level 8 fisher? Han Fei pulled a small branch from the spiritual plant wall and looked at them. Come on. Remember to go all out. Yi Xian was eager to try. She had never done such a fun thing before. Su Daiji put away the cube and thought for a moment before looking at Han Fei. No weapons. Han Fei smiled and said, What weapon do you want? Su Daiji sniffed. A brick. Han Fei. The corners of Han Fei's mouth twitched. He casually took out a fishbone and refined it into a fishbone brick before throwing it to Su Daiji. Xing Yu said in a low voice, Remember, persevere. Try to attack first. San Qian, wander around the periphery. Don't get close. Luo Xiaobai shouted, Begin. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As soon as Luo Xiaobai said that, Gu Qi took the lead to attack. Mortal weapons poured out from the armor box. Xing Yu shouted, San Qian. Su Sanqian, in the blink of an eye. The spider's silk was like a steel rope. It didn't latch onto Han Fei. Instead, it first latched onto the ground around Han Fei, limiting his range of movement. Yi Xian disappeared with a whoosh. She was extremely fast. Han Fei glanced at it and found that one of the steel ropes moved. Immediately, he leaned back. In the wind, he grabbed Yi Xian's ankle with one hand. At this moment, Su Sanqian's spider silk wrapped around Han Fei. Han Fei pulled hard and blocked Yi Xian in front of him. As for Han Fei himself, he made a few strange movements, flipped and dodged. Bam! At this moment, Su Daiji had somehow circled behind Han Fei with the brick in her hand. While she was attacking, she even shouted out loud. Han Fei tilted his head slightly and pushed his body back. With a shake of his shoulder, he pressed against Su Daiji's wrist. He flipped over and slapped Su Daiji. The latter staggered. However, she was quickly pulled back by the spider's silk. Xing Yu held his long rod and attacked from the side. He shouted, Yen Yen, don't attack forcefully. Hold the line first before attacking. Xing Yu's voice was especially loud. Han Fei grinned. He did it on purpose. This guy is trying to confuse me. In fact, Yi Xian had already attacked her back. Han Fei twisted his body and placed one hand in the air. A gentle force easily deflected Yi Xian's body and sent her crashing into Xing Yu. 10 seconds. 20 seconds. Han Fei seemed to only be defending. During this time, he glanced at Luo Xiaobai, who nodded. The corners of Han Fei's mouth curled up, and his body made a strange movement. With the help of the spider's silk on the ground, he bent his body, making Su Daiji's brick hit nothing but air. Then, with the force of the spider's silk, he bounced and hit Su Daiji, sending her flying. With his other hand, he flipped and grabbed Yi Xian's wrist. He snatched the dagger and shot at Xing Yu, who was the slowest. Xing Yu was hit. Amidst the flying swords and sabers, Han Fei's posture was strange. He sent Gu Qi flying with a spiritual energy explosion. At the same time, he grabbed a spider silk that was shooting at him and used it to jump towards Su Sanqian. In just 5 seconds, all 5 of them landed on the ground with minor injuries. Han Fei said unhappily, Your cooperation is a mess. Chapter 1009. To Han Fei and the others, their growth had not only relied on their strength, but also their experience, skills, and reaction to battles. Further up, at the level of law enforcers, explorers, and even venerables, the battle depended on whose fist was bigger. Even for hidden fishers, there was an insurmountable gap between heavenly talents and ordinary hidden fishers. Therefore, in terms of combat ability, Han Fei was probably not weak even among law enforcers and explorers. In fact, he didn't even use the substitute combat technique that Ren Tianfei had given him. Just the 108 desolate god body alone was enough to easily defeat the 5 of them. At this moment, everyone, including Yi Xian, was shocked. The only exception was Su Daiji. The girl was sitting on the ground, still holding the brick in her hand. She was a little confused. Luo Xiaobai looked at Han Fei. As expected, the captain can only be chosen between Xing Yu and Su Sanqian. Xing Yu's inappropriate command during the battle is entirely because he has little experience and hasn't experienced many battles. However, at least he's calm. As the controller, Su Sanqian knows the situation the best, but I wonder if he has any advantage in guiding? Han Fei said, then test the 2 of them. Luo Xiaobai thought for a moment and suddenly took out 2 fish skin test papers. She handed them to Xing Yu and Su Sanqian respectively. Do this. Han Fei glanced at it and was stunned. Aren't these the test papers from the 36 towns assessment? When he saw the first question, Han Fei was stunned. How do I answer this question? Luo Xiaobai seemed to have taught me before, but I don't remember it. Immediately, Han Fei looked at Xing Yu and Su Sanqian sympathetically. Good luck. Yi Xian said, Senior sister, why don't I have it? Luo Xiaobai said, because you don't need it. Zhang Xuanyu said leisurely, if you really want to see it, you can just take a look. A moment later, Yi Xian came back with her tongue hanging out. It was too terrifying, too terrifying. Su Daiji didn't look at it at all. Gu Qi was standing between Su Sanqian and Xing Yu. She looked at one and the other, dumbfounded. She had a feeling that she couldn't answer any of these questions. When Su Sanqian and Xing Yu saw the question, they were stunned. They couldn't do the first question at all. Lu Renquang shivered and said with mixed feelings, Isn't this too cruel? Li Luoluo sensed it and her face changed. Are we going to take this to the test? After a long silence, Joeen Ling said, This seems rather difficult. Luo Xiaobai said casually, I just want to see their temperament. Apart from Su Sanqian and Xing Yu, the other 3 were taken away by Han Fei to temper their bodies. Yi Xian cried out, Husband, this is so difficult. Zhang Xuanyu said with a dark face, Call me senior brother, senior brother, senior brother. It's not difficult for everyone except for you. Do you still want me to help you? Yi Xian blushed. Pervert. Zhang Xuanyu. Han Fei patted Zhang Xuanyu's shoulder. This is an accident at most. There won't be a second one. Besides, isn't that what you like? Zhang Xuanyu gritted his teeth. What? That's what I like. I'm still a child. Bam! Han Fei kicked it and shouted, Senior tree spirit. He saw the tree spirit walk out of the spiritual plant wall. Master. Han Fei said, Stay here and look after the house. Let's go out. Luo Xiaobai asked, All of them? Han Fei thought for a moment. It's the first time. Let's go and take a look. Li Luoluo asked, Where are we going? The 1,000-star proving ground. Han Fei didn't ask for Joeen Ling's opinion because the Heavenly Music Book had already explained the answer. Joeen Ling was the one who needed to move around the most. Luo Xiaobai looked at Su Sanqian and Xing Yu. After you're done, temper your bodies with everyone. Su Sanqian and Xing Yu hurriedly agreed. Han Fei and the others boarded the fishing boat and flew to the 1,000-star proving ground. Over the past few days, Han Fei had already read the information about the 1,000-star city. Furthermore, this time, Ku Shui had come. With the Su family's explorer paying attention and the tree spirit's clone staying in the school, there was no need to be afraid of explorer-level experts. The 1,000-star proving ground contained thousands of secret realms. Here, only a few places were open to the public. Most of the places were controlled by the aristocratic families and the 7 major sections. According to the difference in the secret realms, there were also 10 levels of difficulty. This division corresponded to the Fisher realm to the King realm, a total of 10 realms. The higher the difficulty level, the fewer secret realms there were. At present, 80% of the secret realms in the 1,000-star proving ground had been explored. This was the data from more than 30 years ago. Why was it 80%? This was because from the level of the law enforcer, which was the 7th level of difficulty, the secret realms were no longer easy to explore. It was said that high-level secret realms were usually more difficult than normal secret realms. The law enforcer mystic realm might very well cause the death of the explorer. The explorer mystic realm might also cause the death of a venerable. As for the venerable mystic realm, the information said that a venerable from the Chu sect had once entered and explored it, but he never came out. It could be seen that the higher the level of the 1,000-star proving ground, the more difficult it was. The reason why the Chu sect and the Chao family were known as the Chao in the south and the Chu in the north was that these two families had explored nearly 5 explorer mystic realms, which were level 8 secret realms. As for the venerable mystic realm and the king mystic realm, no one had successfully explored them. For countless years, not a single one had succeeded. No one who went in could come out alive. In Han Fei's hand, he was holding the sea-swallowing seashell that Old Bai gave him before he came. Because he always knew that this thing was troublesome, Han Fei kept it in Forge the Universe and didn't look at it. At this moment, this trouble had to be dealt with, so he glanced at it. As a result, he found that in the sea-swallowing seashell was a pile of fish skin maps and a pile of crystal-clear, yellow bead-like things. Each bead had a number on it. For example, Han Fei casually looked at a bead, which had 4 stars and the number 21 on it. If Han Fei understood correctly, the 4 stars corresponded to the secret realms of the dangling fisher realm. The number on it should be the serial number of the secret realms. After a quick glance at the fish skin map, Han Fei soon found the corresponding fish skin map. And on the map, it was a map of a secret realm. Obviously, this place had been explored. Therefore, someone from the former Thug Academy had drawn a map of this place. Han Fei couldn't help wondering. There were as many as 236 beads here. This meant that the former Thug Academy had robbed more than 200 secret realms in one breath, which was really amazing. Besides, Han Fei found 3 8-star beads on all these pillars. In other words, the Thug Academy had taken 3 explorer-level secret realms. Oh my god, isn't this comparable to the Chao family and the Chu sect? If the Thug Academy hadn't declined more than 30 years ago, its heritage would indeed be comparable to that of the Chao family and the Chu sect. Han Fei immediately thought of something. But now, he couldn't take them all out. Since these secret realms were extremely precious, it was possible that someone was coveting them. The beads of the explorer's secret realm were useless to Han Fei now. Even if they hadn't become a law enforcer yet, they might not be able to use the beads of law enforcers. However, with their strength, it shouldn't be difficult for them to take the hidden fisher-level secret realm. Seeing Han Fei's strange expression, Luo Xiaobai couldn't help but ask, "What's wrong?" Han Fei smiled. "Nothing. I'll show you a surprise later." Except for Luo Xiaobai and Zhuyin Ling, the others all asked, "What surprise?" Han Fei chuckled and said, "Surprise? If I say it out loud, it won't be so surprising." "Okay, where are we flying to?" Ku Shui said, "The 1,000-star proving ground is on the Star River Island outside the 3 Holy Lands. The entire island was the 1,000-star proving ground. We've only flown 1/3 of the way now. It's still early." Suddenly, Ku Shui added, "Young masters, a few senses scanned us just now. They should be explorer level. Young masters, I'm afraid you have to be prepared." Han Fei said disdainfully, "Ignore them. If they could, they would have done it long ago. They wouldn't have waited until now. Let the juniors do it. I can beat them until their scalps go numb." Luo Xiaobai nodded slightly. "Indeed. As long as we don't break through to become a law enforcer, law enforcers won't be able to find trouble with us." Lu Renquang muttered, "Swallow them." Zhuyin Ling looked at Han Fei. "Is this also considered an experience in the mortal world?" Han Fei smiled and said, "Of course it is. The scheming of the aristocratic families, the countless dirty tricks of those arrogant scions, are enough for you to broaden your horizons. Jiuyin Ling lowered her head slightly, thinking about something. About an hour later, everyone finally arrived. They saw it. It was a huge island emitting black mist. In the sky near this island, there were thousands of fishing boats floating in the air. On almost every fishing boat there were people in twos and threes. When the Wind God boat arrived, it attracted the attention of many people because of its cool appearance. Many people were puzzled. Whose family is this? But the Thousand-Star City was really too big. It could be called a large country. Every island was equivalent to a province with a population of hundreds of millions. Who could know all of them? The only advantage of cultivators was that their transportation speed was fast. For example, Han Fei and the others could fly a distance of 5,000 kilometers in half an hour. Therefore, in this sense, although the geographical range of the Thousand-Star City was vast, it was still acceptable. Han Fei and the others didn't stop for a moment. Ku Shui controlled the fishing boat and came directly to a very huge ground outside Star River Island that looked like a huge plain. Ku Shui said, "Young masters, this is the only open area of Star River Island. However, the young lords should already know the way to enter Star River Island. If you have star beads here, you can directly open the portal and enter the secret realm. If you don't have star beads, you have to walk into the galaxy through the dark mist and look for star beads in the galaxy. However, the galaxy is dangerous and star beads are scarce. Too many have been collected. If you can find it, I'm afraid it will be an extremely terrifying secret realm." Han Fei nodded. "It's okay. We have star beads." Everyone looked at Han Fei, wondering when they had such a thing. Chapter 10:10. From the outside, the Star River Island looked like a terrifying place filled with dense black chi. Light couldn't penetrate the fog, so it was like a huge and dark hole devouring people's souls. At this moment, Han Fei grabbed a star bead and said, "Before coming, the president gave me a sea-swallowing seashell, which is full of these things, more than 200 of them." Wow! Everyone took a deep breath, and Zhang Xuanyu said, "You mean, our Thug Academy has more than 200 secret realms?" Lu Renquang said in shock, "Then, are we rich?" Li Luoluo said in surprise, "I formally propose to join the Thug Academy and submit the application." Han Fei rolled his eyes. "Go away. Although there are many secret realms, they have all been explored." Luo Xiaobai said, "These secret realms haven't been to for a long time, right?" Jiuyin Ling said, "Some of these secret realms on Star River Island have been explored repeatedly, so I'm afraid there are indeed no dangers. However, these secret realms have not been explored for many years, so there will definitely be dangers. As for resources, if they are explored a lot, I'm afraid there won't be many." Han Fei glanced at the fish skin maps and found that there were very few relic fish skin maps, only 18. Among them, there was only one for dangling fishers, 3 for suspense fishers, 6 for hidden fishers, 8 for law enforcers, and nothing else. Han Fei thought for a moment and said, "Don't worry about the relic ones for the time being. Let's enter one randomly and determine the danger." Han Fei had some guesses. Old Bai said he wanted to rebuild the Thug Academy, which was fine. He wanted to take disciples, which was also fine. However, Old Bai specifically reminded him that he wanted to come to the Thousand-Star Proving Ground not only to open up the original secret realms for new students to go to, maybe Old Bai also wanted to ask them to try walking in the galaxy and find a law enforcer's secret realm. After all, Han Fei and the others hadn't become law enforcers yet, and a law enforcer's secret realm wasn't something ordinary law enforcers could explore. Therefore, Old Bai said it euphemistically. Han Fei felt that he had guessed Old Bai's meaning. To be honest, he didn't intend to find a new law enforcer's secret realm now. At least, they couldn't do it before Tang Ji's wedding. Right now, the most reasonable situation was for the 6 of them to go and see what the law enforcer mystic realm left behind by the Thug Academy was like. He had to find a relic, That way, the level of danger would be greatly reduced. After a relic type of mystic realm was explored, the strange power of the relic might no longer be there. How much danger could there be? As for other types of mystic realms, that might not be the case. Han Fei was thinking that when all of them became law enforcers one day, they would go into the galaxy and try to find a new law enforcer's secret realm. Han Fei was quite satisfied with his plan. After all, there were still 7 years until the old turtle of the Empyrean waterfall came out. In these 7 years, he had to break through to the peak of law enforcer and wait patiently for the leafless tree's branches to grow leaves. That would be the day he left the 1,000-star city. However, according to the leafless tree, this period of time was between 5 to 8 years. The only problem was that the leaves had grown out, but the old turtle couldn't hold on much longer. Unfortunately, this kind of thing could only wait. During this period of waiting, they could only teach students, explore the 3 Holy Lands, or explore secret realms. Therefore, there was plenty of time. Just when Han Fei was about to ask how to activate this star bead, a voice suddenly came over. "Are you from the Thug Academy?" "Well, 2 law enforcers and 4 peak-level hidden fishers. Why? Is this the full strength of the Thug Academy?" Han Fei glanced over and saw 7 or 8 young people in their 20s walking towards him. Among them, there were only 2 peak-level hidden fishers and 6 law enforcers. Behind them followed a middle-aged man and an old man. Compared with Ku Shui, they were probably at the level of a peak-level law enforcer. Needless to say, this group of people was coming for them. Otherwise, how could they coincidentally find them when there were so many people in the sky and on the ground? Besides, the other party didn't hide it at all. They had long known that Han Fei and the others were from the Thug Academy. In the local dialect, they were here to pick a fight. Luo Xiaobai asked, "What's it to you?" Zhang Xuanyu chuckled. What do you mean? Tell me." Han Fei said contemptuously, "If you're not from the 7 major sects, then you must be from the big families. Why did they send a bunch of good-for-nothings like you?" Han Fei's words were as arrogant as ever. Arrogant, despotic, insufferably arrogant, and downright dandy, these were the basic principles of a sailor. It was the same as the people in the tavern who would pull out their weapons at the slightest disagreement. With old Han and the Thug Academy, the 1,000-star families didn't dare to act rashly. This was a balance. As long as this balance wasn't broken, it didn't matter if Han Fei was lawless in the 1,000-star city. Why would he care about some cannon fodder who came to pick a fight with him? As soon as Han Fei said this, the faces of several people opposite him changed, and their eyes immediately showed fierceness. The young man who spoke sneered. "It seems that you are Han Fei. You are really as arrogant as the rumors say. Who do you think you are in the 1,000-star city?" Han Fei chuckled. "Who do I think I am? I am something that can make you kneel on the ground and call me Grandpa. Why don't you try me?" The man shouted, "Han Fei, you're courting death." Han Fei touched his chest and grimaced. "Oh, I'm so scared. Come and challenge me if you can. How about a life-and-death battle? I've been to the south and the north, and I've fought with Bluefeather. Who the hell are you? Where did you come from?" "Puff!" Li Luoluo laughed. What kind of words are these? However, looking at his rascally appearance, he really looked like a loafer in the village. No one was more like him. Lu Renquang took out a small dried fish, stuffed it into his mouth and said, "In terms of insulting people, these children of the big families are far inferior to Han Fei." Jiuyin Ling watched this scene silently. Although she had seen this kind of provocative dialogue several times in the village, it felt a little strange to hear it from Han Fei. Before the young man on the opposite side spoke, the peak-level law enforcer behind him shouted, "Han Fei, watch your words." If there's a next time, before he finished speaking, Han Fei interrupted him directly, "Shut up. Who the hell do you think you are? Do you have the right to speak here?" Han Fei said domineeringly, "Don't talk nonsense with me. Not to mention that you can't beat me, Do you think these two peak-level law enforcers dare to attack me? My father is a venerable. Who the hell dares to cripple me? Humph, even a group of ironhead fish can't compare to me. Han Fei had no shame at all when it came to bragging. This was the truth. He had just come here, so why didn't he put a Buddha in front of him and wait for others to beat him up? The man in the lead was livid with anger and clenched his fists. He had never met such a traitor before. Scolding people was as easy as spraying water. It was he who came to pick a fight. Why did it seem that he was the one who was picking a fight? In the crowd, a girl in a green dress snorted. Country bumpkin, unsightly. Han Fei said disdainfully, Yes, we country bumpkins can't compare to you city people. We've been living a comfortable life since we were young. Even when you sleep, you have to call someone to warm the bed for you. Hey girl, do you have this hobby? Han Fei. The woman shouted angrily and her momentum soared. She was so angry that she wanted to attack him directly. However, a young man in the crowd stood up, blocked the woman who was about to lose her temper, and looked at Han Fei. If my guess is right, you just want to provoke us so that we can accept your challenge to a life-and-death battle, right? Once someone accepts this challenge, you'll just want to slaughter them, kill the shrimps and startle the fish so that others won't dare to have any ideas about you. Han Fei touched his nose and said, Congratulations, you're right. But, so what? Can you interfere by force or what? We haven't become law enforcers yet, and ordinary law enforcers are no match for us. You? Have you ever thought about yourself? Under Han Fei's ridicule, the young man said coldly, Han Fei, don't be too complacent. If you want a life-and-death battle, you might as well take a walk in the universe, if you dare. Han Fei grinned. I don't dare? I have a lot of secret realms in my hands. Do you want me to go to the universe to find secret realms with you? Was my head hit by an ironhead fish, or was your head hit by an ironhead fish? The young man was about to speak, but Han Fei interrupted him. Oh, by the way, next time, please tell me your name if you want to talk to me. Remember, don't talk to me unless you're from a big family. I don't have time to talk to you. Someone sneered. Chu Jian, it seems that the Chu family has lost face. Han Fei glanced at the man who spoke. This man looked very thin, his face sickly, and his words were sarcastic. His words caused the leading young man's face to flush with embarrassment. Han Fei sighed leisurely and suddenly looked at the man. I'll remember you. What I hate the most are people like you who flatter me the most. Remember, if I meet you next time, I will kill you. The man's face was gloomy. I'm afraid you won't live until then. Han Fei glanced at them. Today, I don't have time to talk to you here. Next time you come back, remember to tell me your name. This time, forget it. There are too many people in the 1,000-star city. I can't remember them at all. With that, Han Fei turned around, took out a star bead, and said, How do I use this? Juyin Ling said, Just inject spiritual energy. Without saying a word, Han Fei injected spiritual energy into it, leaving those who came to pick a fight with him to the side, and let them be embarrassed. A dark blue oval teleportation array appeared in the air. Han Fei said, Let's go in. Senior Ku Shui, will you go in? Ku Shui shook his head slightly. No, young Master Han Fei. After Han Fei and the others went in, the old law enforcer behind the young men suddenly said, Luo family, are you really going to offend the big families of the 1,000-star city for the sake of the 1,000-star city? Ku Shui chuckled. I've been serving my miss since she was a child. What does it have to do with the Luo family? Even if it has something to do with the Luo family, do you want to touch the Luo family? We can't beat you, but the Divine Manipulator family's ability to escape is unparalleled. Don't make the Luo family angry. Ku Shui leisurely walked to the edge of the Milky Way. There was a meadow there, suitable for resting. Chu Jian gritted his teeth and said, They won't be fooled. Someone replied, Anyway, I'm just here to try. I don't expect them to be fooled. Just wait for the day they become law enforcers. The third update. Asking for votes. Tomorrow, the fourth update. There will be a big update in early May. I have my own things to deal with these days. End of this chapter. Chapter 10-11. In the ocean, there is a special scenery which is sand. In human knowledge, sand was extremely common. It was formed by nature after hundreds and thousands of years, or even billions of years. The sand was extremely fine. If it was magnified 1,000 times, the world of sand and stone would be like a resplendent galaxy, a wondrous sight to behold. However, something as magical as sand could also cause unforeseen events if there was too much of it. At this moment they came to a seabed sand bed. At least as soon as Han Fei appeared, his perception spread out within 500 kilometers, and all he saw was sand and stones. At the bottom of the sea, there was a waterfall called the Sand Waterfall. There was nothing special about it. There were no less than 10 sand waterfalls at the periphery of the scattered stars island. When water poured out of the Empyrean waterfall, sand poured out of the sand waterfalls. However, for an ordinary sand waterfall, the flow of water was not very large. The moment everyone got to know the environment, Joeen Ling said, "Are we just going to ignore those people outside?" Han Fei explained, "Don't worry. Because of some sort of balance, they can't attack us now." They were no match for a hidden fisher. If it was a law enforcer, they wouldn't dare to make a move. This time, their goal is to provoke us and lure us into the universe. There might be traps set for us in the galaxy. Joeen Ling's eyes turned cold. "Shameless," Han Fei said casually. "We won't go to galaxy for the time being. We can't give them a chance. They shouldn't be able to control the 3 Holy Lands. When the time comes, we'll go directly to the 3 Holy Lands." Luo Xiaobai suggested, "Let's take a look at the environment first. There's something under the sand. There is a kind of withered yellow seaweed." Therefore, Luo Xiaobai immediately perceived something through the spiritual plants here. Han Fei also scanned the area and simply said, "There are a small number of mess-swallowing worms. However, they should be stronger than the mess-swallowing worms in the level 3 fishery. However, there aren't many mess-swallowing worms, and the shells are almost extinct. I'm afraid there are some large creatures here." Almost at the same time, they all asked, "Clam worms?" Luo Xiaobai shook her head. "It's different from the clam worms we know. Don't forget that the clam worm we saw last time lived in the undersea jungle. Although there's sand there, it's mostly made up of mud cave." Han Fei said, "Apart from the clam worms, there's also a very large fish." Joeen Ling couldn't help but look at Han Fei. "I didn't sense anything. More than 300 kilometers away, there's a kind of stupid fish that grows vertically. Since this is a hidden fisher-level secret realm, it can't be so simple. Let's go to the sand and have a look." Any one of them had the strength to fight against a law enforcement officer. Of course, he wasn't afraid of a mere sea of sand. When the few of them stood on the sand, Zhang Xuanyu struck out with his spear and directly nailed an ugly mess-swallowing worm with a hard shell. Zhang Xuanyu said, "It's not strong, but its body structure is very strange, like sand." Han Fei took out his fishing rod and cast it out. The fishing rod pierced through the void and appeared more than 2,000 meters away. As Han Fei waved his hand, the mess-swallowing worms were pulled out. It was more than 30 meters long, but that didn't mean it was powerful. Even ordinary mess-swallowing worms were more than 30 meters long. When Han Fei pulled the mess-swallowing worm closer, he found that the particles on the shell of this worm were obvious, as if they were covered with a layer of crystal powder. At this moment, the long body of the mess-swallowing worm was twisting in the seawater, and some sand kept falling. In Han Fei's eyes, information emerged. Name Sandworm Introduction. Sand-eating worm sandworms like to eat rare gemstone crystals in the gravel and strengthen their bodies by refining these gemstone crystals. They are often buried in the sand. An adult sandworm is up to 30 meters long and has sand thorns in its body. Its joints can be broken and its body can be disassembled. Growing up separately is the basic ability of sandworms to survive. Level 42 quality, rare, contains spiritual energy greater than 1618 points, edible effect, inedible collectible, rare gem absorbable, remarks, a kind of mess-swallowing worm. Lu Renquang frowned and said, I hate bugs. Li Luoluo rushed over. I like bugs. Li Luoluo pinched the body of the sandworm with one hand and squeezed hard, directly crushing a scale of the sandworm. Li Luoluo said, the shell of this sandworm is very hard. I feel that it's almost as hard as an advanced spiritual weapon. Han Fei waved his knife casually and cut the sandworm into two halves. A hideous head quickly grew out of the severed body of the insect, and it started to escape. Clap, clap. Luo Xiaobai buckled the two sandworms with vines and wondered, it can split into two creatures? Han Fei shrugged and said, it should be so. Let me cut it a few more times. Swish, swish, swish. In the blink of an eye, the mess-swallowing worm was cut into 8 pieces. To everyone's surprise, these 8 pieces were all alive, but their levels had become lower. Han Fei cut again and found that even if this sandworm was cut into 20 pieces, it was still alive. From 1 living creature to 20 living creatures. Boom! Han Fei smashed them with a punch, crushing all the 20 split sandworms. This time, these sandworms were really dead. At this time, Luo Xiaobai grabbed dozens of colorful stones. Li Luoluo reached out and grabbed all the stones in her hand. This color is really beautiful. Luo Xiaobai said, I think so. The mess-swallowing worms here can split infinitely. Unless they are completely crushed, they will split more and more. However, these mess-swallowing worms won't split on their own, or it's not time for them to split. Han Fei smiled and said, anyway, they are not strong. After splitting, they are even weaker. Luo Xiaobai shook her head and said, no, I feel the aura of a spiritual plant from the body of this mess-swallowing worm. As soon as Luo Xiaobai said that, with several loud bangs, 5 or 6 withered yellow vines suddenly emerged from the sand. Li Luoluo jumped out with a swish. In the air, a few colorful worms appeared, and Li Luoluo returned to Han Fei and the others. Li Luoluo turned the corner and asked, what's that? I didn't feel it just now. Luo Xiaobai explained, it's a kind of spiritual plant, a kind of purple bamboo spiritual plant that can have consciousness. At this moment, as soon as the spiritual plant came out, a large mass rushed towards Han Fei and the others. Han Fei slashed out casually, only to feel a huge resistance with a clink. Although a part of it was cut off, why was it so hard? Luo Xiaobai said, hook it. Han Fei said, no, let it hook us and go down to see its body. Luo Xiaobai was stunned for a moment and couldn't help but smile bitterly. Truly, the skilled were bold. One look and one could tell that this spirit plant was not an ordinary item. Han Fei wanted to let this spiritual plant drag them over. With Han Fei's reminder, no one stopped him. But when the vine tentacles were about to reach Luo Xiaobai, they suddenly began to quickly retract their tentacles. Luo Xiaobai's face changed slightly. It wants to run. Han Fei immediately flashed out, grabbed the vine, pressed down the law of gravity, and shouted, come on, pull it out. Juyin Ling and Li Luoluo were dumbfounded. Is this the style of the Thug Academy? The spiritual plant had already hidden far away, but these people actually wanted to pull it out? At this moment, information appeared in Han Fei's eyes. Name Jade-eating demonic vine introduction, a strange creature in the sand sea. It likes jade essence, is extremely tough, has great strength, and can reach the power of 2 waves. It is good at whipping and binding. The jade-eating demonic vine produces jade essence, and can be refined into divine weapons. Level 58 quality exotic contains spiritual energy greater than 19,998 points. Effect inedible collectible jade essence absorbable. When Han Fei saw this information, he was taken aback. The power of 2 waves? Does a level 58 creature have such great strength? No wonder it was a little difficult for him to pull it without using any secret method. Sure enough, the danger of the secret realm was higher. Imagine if an ordinary peak-level hidden fisher were here. The strength of 8 million kilograms would be considered excellent, but he would be no match for this jade-eating demonic vine. Even if he used a secret method, he would at most be on par with this thing. However, this thing had many tentacles. At this moment, dozens of vines slapped across the air. Han Fei sneered, and the invincible knife light slashed horizontally, directly breaking the vine whip. At this moment, Luo Xiaobai grabbed the vine with one hand, her eyes white, and tried to control it directly. In a moment, the 6 of them were pulled out of a huge sand pit without using any secret method. And Luo Xiaobai's level was higher than this jade-eating demonic vine. At this moment, she had successfully controlled it and let it climb out by itself. After a while, everyone saw a huge rhizome like an old tree root appear on the sand surface. 50 or 60 large tentacles and countless small tentacles were swaying with the wave. Han Fei curled his lips and said, "That's it? Hee, there must be more than one here." Juin Ling said, "Look, this tree has been jade-like. Are those mess-swallowing worms raised by it?" Han Fei nodded. "Very likely. This means that in this sand sea there is far more than one jade-eating demonic vine like this." Luo Xiaobai came back to herself and said, "There is indeed more than one spiritual plant. Through this spiritual plant I can feel that in the central area of this sand sea there is another largest one, which may have become a law enforcer." Zhang Xuanyu grinned. "So what? Can't the 6 of us defeat a law enforcer?" Luo Xiaobai thought for a moment and said, "No need. For us, it's not meaningful to defeat it." Han Fei nodded. "We are not short of resources now. A battle at this level is meaningless. Let's go out. Let's divide all the star beads, deal with the dangers in some low-level secret realms, and then leave them to Xing Yu and the others. When we're done, let's go to the ruins." Luo Xiaobai couldn't help looking at Han Fei. "How many ruins are there?" Han Fei replied, 18. "Wow." Chapter 10-12. Zhang Xuanyu put his arm around Lu Renkuang's shoulder and heaved a long sigh. "We're just here to make up the numbers." Lu Renkuang reacted as usual. "That's great." With the experience of coming in, it was naturally easy to get out. Spiritual energy triggered the star bead, and the portal was opened. With a swish, they returned to the 1,000-star trial field. At this time, only 300 breaths of time had passed since they entered. If they hadn't stayed in the sea of sand for a while, they could have come out even earlier. They're out. In the distance, many people revealed surprised expressions. Just now, the collision between the disciples of the Thug Academy and the big clans didn't really break out, but it was impossible not to attract attention. In particular, some people from the 7 major sects were silently watching everything that had just happened. Of course, at this moment, they didn't come to find trouble with them. Chu Jian and the others also left, and no one came to attack. Ku Shui quickly came to the front of everyone. "Young masters, you're out already?" Luo Xiaobai said casually. "These secret realms are of little use to us. There's no need to explore them." Han Fei took out more than 200 star beads and fish skin maps and said, "Okay, in that case, let's split them." For most secret realms, if the problem was not too big, then there was no need to worry about it. If he encountered a few troublesome creatures, he would casually deal with them. "Next, we will explore the ruins. Fatty, stay with Li Luoluo." Li Luoluo immediately said, "I'm a law enforcer. I can do it alone." Han Fei said with a smile, "You're just a temporary teacher of the Thug Academy, and the resources have been accumulated by the Thug Academy for a long time. Do you understand?" To put it bluntly, Han Fei only trusted Li Luoluo as a friend. In the world of cultivators, it was already very good to have a friendship. It was impossible for Li Luoluo to explore her secret realm alone. As the saying goes, one must always be on guard against others. As long as they weren't from the Thug Academy, he had to keep an eye on them. After all, it wasn't impossible for those aristocratic families to make deliberate arrangements in order to achieve certain goals. Why did he ask Lu Renkuang to go with him? This guy didn't seem to be very strong, but when he unleashed his full power, he was second only to Han Fei. The Overlord's technique and violent war body superimposed, the legendary creature Deep Blue Roar possessed him, and the Sky Devourer technique could swallow insects. If there was really something wrong with Li Luoluo, Lu Renkuang could completely suppress her. Li Luoluo had no objection to this. Of course, she wouldn't ask why Zhou Ling could explore alone. That was because Han Fei knew what Zhou Ling was like. She didn't hesitate to give him the comfort and nature technique. This was already a great deal of trust. 3 days later, on the square of the 1,000-star proving ground, the group of people became famous. The name of the Thug Academy had almost spread around here. Because Han Fei and the others would come out almost every hour, and they even came out several times. He then took out a new star bead and opened a new portal. This frequency shocked everyone. Were there so many secret realms of the Thug Academy? Someone sighed. What's the background of this Thug Academy? With so many secret realms under their control, they are comparable to the aristocratic families. Someone said indifferently, "You'll know once you go back and do some research." The prestige of this academy used to be above that of the 7 major sections. Someone said, "I've already counted. In the past few days, this group of people has appeared in almost 200 secret realms. This is crazy. Could it be that none of those mystic realms can stop them?" Someone sneered. "Do you know who these guys are? Han Fei is famous in the unknown place. When he was an intermediate hidden fisher, he killed a law enforcer. Do you think a secret realm that isn't an explorer can stop them?" Swish. Han Fei appeared on the trial square. At this moment, he didn't plan to continue. This time, he had a feast for his eyes. There were really all kinds of strange secret realms. There were undersea jungles, sand seas, insect nests, undead creatures, shipwreck ruins, fish-tied canyons. Han Fei couldn't help but sigh. There were really all kinds of strange places in the ocean. After waiting for a full hour, Zhou Ling came out. As a law enforcer, Zhou Ling's exploration speed was very fast. In particular, she had mastered the seal, which made her almost invincible. After a while, Luo Xiaobai, Zhang Xuanyu, Lu Renkuang, and Li Luoluo all came out. Han Fei asked, "How is it? How many haven't been explored?" Luo Xiaobai shook her head. "No. After all, we didn't sweep all the way. We just need to confirm the degree of danger." Zhang Xuanyu curled his lips. "I just met an octopus and almost folded myself inside. However, I've cleaned up on my side." Lu Renkuang nodded. "We've also cleaned up on our side. There are no more than 10 abnormal secret realms in total." Han Fei nodded. "Okay. From now on, we'll leave these secret realms to Xingyue and the others. Next, we'll go to the ruins. Those places are different from these ordinary secret realms. Let's go together." Luo Xiaobai nodded. "Okay." Li Luoluo added, "Actually, I think we can also go to the law enforcer secret realms. After all, we have 6 law enforcers on our side." Luo Xiaobai shook her head. "Not for the time being. Through these ordinary secret realms, we can see that ordinary law enforcers can't sweep through them. If the strength of the law enforcer secret realms reaches the level of an advanced or peak-level law enforcer, the danger will be completely uncontrollable." What Luo Xiaobai said was exactly what Han Fei was thinking. At present, he was the only one here who could fight against an advanced law enforcer head-on. As for the peak-level law enforcers, they wouldn't just stand there and call for help. For example, Qishua Huan, even if he called out his strongest weapon, punishing knife, he still couldn't kill him. From this, it could be seen that Han Fei and the others shouldn't set foot in the law enforcer secret realms now. In Han Fei's hands, there were only a total of 18 relic secret realms. 8 of them were law enforcers, which meant that they could only explore the remaining 10 for the time being. As for the order of selection, it was naturally from low to difficult. First, it was the dangling fisher level. Han Fei said, "Don't think it's too low. Relic secret realms are the most mysterious. There will always be some strange information left in them. Let's look at them one by one." After opening the dangling fisher level star bead again, they walked in and appeared directly in a sunken ship. Huh! In the dark waters, there was a flash of light and the creatures began to flee. In such a low-level relic, of course, no one would chase them. Lu Renquang said, "Anti-Heaven Blade, have we returned to the level 3 fishery?" Luo Xiaobai shook her head. "Not necessarily the level 3 fishery. The level 3 fishery and these places are all enclosed by humans. But this doesn't rule out the existence of the anti-Heaven Blade in the outside world. There are many such waters, and there should be many relatively safe places." Han Fei released his aura, and in an instant, a large number of creatures on this huge sunken ship were fleeing. There were jumping oncomelania, octopuses hiding in the broken deck, cuttlefish, razor clams, red-browed prawns, and all kinds of starfish. Anyway, at the moment when the aura of the strong pressed down, hundreds of kinds of creatures began to flee frantically. After all, the level of this secret realm was too low, and the creatures here wouldn't be very strong. Luo Xiaobai said, "Don't destroy this secret realm. Leave it to Daji and the others in the future. To them, the danger of this secret realm is definitely not small." Judging from the position of the creatures that had just escaped, ordinary dangling fishers would have to fight all the way in, which was very dangerous. Han Fei nodded. "Yes, we just need to observe carefully. First of all, from the outside, this sunken ship looked very old, and it had a mast. But this thing couldn't be seen on fishing boats nowadays. Looking at the size of this sunken ship, it was more than 300 meters long, which couldn't be compared to today's small ordinary fishing boats. Just from the appearance, Han Fei could confirm that this ship was the kind of normal ship that he knew, not used for fishing. Besides, there were 2 rows of skeleton-like railings on both sides of the hull. After so many years, it hadn't decayed, revealing the jade-like internal structure. And there was a dragon head on the bow of the ship, not a real dragon head, but a dragon head like the green wandering flood dragon that Han Fei had seen before. As Luo Xiaobai's vines swept, the hull covered by barnacles and seaweeds was exposed, and delicate patterns could be seen. And these patterns were not only seaweeds but also various strange beast patterns. Seeing this, Han Fei narrowed his eyes. "It's a ship left from ancient times. It seems to have been damaged in battle. However, the hull doesn't decay, and has reached the quality of an ultra-quality spiritual weapon." Zhang Xuanyu exclaimed, F***CK. "This ship is very valuable." Lu Renquang was dumbfounded. "We're rich? We should have come to the ruins earlier." Juyin Ling said, "I've seen similar patterns in some ancient books, but there are very few records." Luo Xiaobai said, "You have to look further. When they obtained this secret realm, it's impossible for the president and the others not to know the value of this ship. However, they didn't move. First of all, the Thug Academy doesn't need to sell ultra-quality spiritual weapons to make a living. What we want to obtain, we have to obtain it through experience. Wealth is just wealth. It doesn't really mean anything." Han Fei nodded. "Yes, excluding the value of this ship itself, there must be something more meaningful inside. Let's split up and look around. It seems that there is no danger here." Chapter 10:13. If he wanted to find the hidden story in this ship, he had to clean this ship first. Therefore, Luo Xiaobai and Li Luoluo played a great role. Luo Xiaobai controlled the spiritual plants to clean, and Li Luoluo cleaned through the insect. It seemed that manipulators had unique talents in certain things. For example, cleaning now. After a while, Han Fei found the main cabin inside the hull. This surprised Han Fei. This was different from the layout of the fishing boat. The place where Han Fei was now could be called the control room, and below was the rest cabin. Han Fei saw the rudder here, which made his eyelids twitch. Han Fei directly passed this cabin and went to the rest room. After a while, he found a jade box in a closed cupboard without having to search at all. In the box there was a nautical diary. When he saw this nautical diary, Han Fei grinned. Sure enough, humans used to be more like seafarers, not like now, where fishing boats had become a means of travel. And a nautical diary was a must-have for a captain. This box should have been opened, probably by a former student of the Thug Academy. The reason why this nautical diary was left here was in line with the habit of the Thug Academy. When the students in the future had this strength, they could naturally come over and check it themselves. Han Fei took out this box, and everyone immediately surrounded it. Zhang Xuanyu asked in surprise, "What is this?" Han Fei smiled. "A nautical diary." Juyin Ling asked in surprise, "What is a nautical diary?" Considering Juyin Ling's cultivation technique needs, Han Fei explained, "In ancient times, the sea was not everything. There were also continents. Some humans needed to explore the sea through large ships. At that time, it was very likely that there were no flying fishing boat. Therefore, the ship we found is very different from a normal fishing boat. And such a big ship needs a captain. In order to record everything on the journey for future reference, the captain needs to make a nautical diary every day. For example, the captain can record the location of some special reefs, which is equivalent to drawing a map. It can also be used to record the voyage every day. This nautical diary is equivalent to a memo. If something happens to this ship, even if people find it thousands of years later, they will know what happened to it at that time. Well, in fact, the nautical diary itself is also an interesting record book. There are often many stories in it. The others were all shocked by what Han Fei said. Was it so complicated for ancient people to sail a ship? Shouldn't fishing be the main purpose of taking notes be the fishing? With that said, Han Fei opened the fish skin map that wrapped the diary. On it was a drawing of the sea route, as well as a description of the land and port. However, this thing had no value now. Because all the places were submerged, this nautical chart was useless. Han Fei threw the nautical chart away, and Luo Xiaobai picked it up. "Don't throw it away." Han Fei didn't pay much attention to it, but then he saw that it said Hope Exploration Record, which was the name of the ship. He opened the homepage. There was only a short handwriting on it, written in the captain's handwriting, signed by Lin Song. He was probably the captain of the Hope. Han Fei opened the notebook, and what came into view was Year 13822, Yangji 17th, the Hope departed. This was the title, and the main text was as follows. In just over 10 years, tsunamis broke out everywhere, and countless marine creatures swept through the safe waters. This was not the first time this had happened in history. But this time it was extremely serious. Today, half of the land of Yu City has been overturned. The sea demons attacked and the cities fought fiercely. The city lord appointed me as the captain of the Hope to go to the Boulder City to ask for help. I don't know if there's still hope for the Hope. Many large ships have been sent before, but none of them returned. Maybe. In any case, I am the Hope now. I shoulder the Hope and I will carry the Hope. The first page of the diary was gone. Han Fei turned to the next page. On the second page of the diary, it was written on the 21st of Yangji. Han Fei wasn't sure what Yangji was, but it should be something like a calendar. Lin Song wrote, "Today's ocean is too terrifying. We have encountered the biggest blow in history. In a big fish tide, nearly half of the strong masters on the ship died, and 3 law enforcers died. I don't know what to do next. I'm sure of one thing. We encountered the legendary marine races, including murlocs, shrimp soldiers, crab generals, demonic snakes, clam girls. Legend has it that these creatures have been destroyed by the gods. It seems that the gods have deceived us. The enemies that you city faces are not just those ordinary sea demons. What we are facing may be countless races that should have lived in the endless deep sea. Fortunately, my strength has reached the explorer level, and I saved the hope. But tomorrow, I don't know. After reading the second page, everyone's eyes widened. Luo Xiaobai asked, "Gods?" Li Luoluo said in surprise, "What is a god? Is it a realm above the king level?" Juin Ling also asked curiously, "What kind of creatures are shrimp soldiers and crab generals? What kind of creatures are demonic snakes and clam girls?" Han Fei and the others looked at each other, their eyes full of surprise. "Is this related to the age of the gods that old Bai mentioned?" Han Fei said, "Who are these so-called gods? None of us knows. However, the creatures like shrimp soldiers and crab generals might be creatures beyond our knowledge. Isn't it said that there is still the endless sea beyond us? Perhaps there are other living creatures in the distant sea. Who knows?" Han Fei didn't explain too much and continued to turn 2 pages, which were all about war. What crisis did they encounter today? What strange things happened? It wasn't until the 5th page that Han Fei and the others paid attention to it. On the 27th of Yangji, we can't stop it anymore. When they saw the words, "can't stop it anymore," Han Fei and the others were slightly shocked. It wasn't hard to imagine a scene that even explorers couldn't stop. When this hope set off, there must be a lot of strong masters accompanying it. However, this also couldn't prevent people from dying every day. It was recorded in the diary. This wasn't an ordinary crisis. It was a crisis that had never been seen before. In this endless sea, there must be a new god rising. I saw a scene that I can never forget in this life. Thousands of creatures are awakening and becoming demons. Their purpose is not just to target you city. I reckon that Boulder City's situation isn't any better. The other party has 3 spirit-breaking and Tao-seeking state powerhouses. I finally know why the strongest person in U City disappeared for no reason. I think it's not that he disappeared, but that he was restricted by a sea monster who has reached the Tao-seeking realm. U City may be destroyed. After writing this line of words, I may die in battle in this vast sea. If the latter can see the Diary of the Hope, please inform the human beings and find another way to find that legendary place. If they searched for that legendary place, perhaps there would still be hope for humanity. Signed, Lin Tsang. Han Fei hurriedly turned the pages, but the latter part was just as recorded in the diary. After writing this page, Lin Tsang went to fight. He probably died. And this time, the Hope's plan to ask for help at sea finally failed. Lu Renquang couldn't help asking curiously, "Isn't he already an explorer? Why didn't he fly there directly but go by sea?" Han Fei thought for a moment and said, "Don't forget, there are strong masters among the sea monsters. If he could fly, do you think Lin Tsang wouldn't fly?" Luo Xiaobai said, "There is another possibility. Lin Tsang's strength is not very strong among the explorers. If the distance between the 2 places is too far, I'm afraid explorers can't fly all the time, can they?" Han Fei shook his head. "Not necessarily. Explorers should be able to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth immediately. Besides, according to what you said, couldn't they just teleport there directly? Why did they have to sail there? Since they can't, it can only mean that these methods were useless at that time, or they were destroyed." Luo Xiaobai suggested, "Let's look again and see if there is anything else." Han Fei thought for a moment. Among the records on a ship, only the voyage diary should be the most valuable. Han Fei didn't continue looking. But not long after, Juin Ling pulled out a small box and ran to Han Fei's side. Han Fei's eyelids twitched. This box was well preserved. Everyone gathered around again. But as soon as the box was opened, when Han Fei saw the scattered shells, crab pincers, a transparent glass, and a few metal objects, he already understood what it was. Han Fei smiled and said, "This is just a simple storage box. I guess it should be a crew member who wanted to bring some gifts back for his children." So, all kinds of things are put here. They are all small toys. As for why they weren't put in the sea-swallowing seashell, it was probably because these things were very common and not worth much. Well, maybe the sea-swallowing seashell is more expensive, and this crew member can't afford it. Joeen Ling stuck out her tongue. It seemed that she didn't find anything useful. After a while, no one found anything special. Those decorative engravings were not worth deciphering. So Han Fei said, "Okay, let's go out. Let's go to the next site." Chapter 10:14. The ruins of a hanging fisher level were completely different from those of a dangling fisher level. In fact, the heavenly desolate city that Han Fei and the others went to should be equivalent to a hanging fisher level site. But once they went back to the past, who knew what kind of ruins it was? Maybe it was not a ruin at all, but a kind of opportunity. At this moment, Han Fei and the others arrived at a hanging fisher level site, which was a very small human gathering place. Undead spirits roared here, but it was of no use to Han Fei and the others. After exploring around, Han Fei and the others found some traces left by human beings. For example, Li Luoluo came out of nowhere with a pair of intact large vases, which surprised Han Fei. "Is there porcelain in this place?" Of course, Han Fei's answer was, "Why are you holding 2 jars?" Li Luoluo said, "Don't you think this is very exquisite? Look at the painting, the carving, the posture. Hey, don't go!" At this moment, Zhang Xuanyu came over with a rusty rod. He shook his head and said, "This is just a trial mystic realm. There's nothing special about it. It's possible that this place was wiped out during a sea demon attack." The third ruin was similar to the second one, except that there were more undead spirits here, and they were relatively stronger. Moreover, this place was full of boulders, and there were many tall and damaged buildings with different styles of human faces. Suddenly, Li Luoluo shouted again, come here, come here." Everyone rushed over, only to find that Li Luoluo had dug out a skeleton with insects. However, when they saw the skeleton, they were a little stunned. Joeen Ling was surprised. "This person's skeleton is so tall. I'm afraid it's 7 or 8 meters tall." Lu Renquang said in surprise, "It's not a human being, is it?" Zhang Xuanyu curled his lips and said, "It must be a human being. Look, if it's not a human skeleton, what is it?" Luo Xiaobai said, "Let's look again." After a while they dug out 2 or 3 such corpses. Among them, the largest skeleton was about 15 meters tall. Han Fei looked at the almost jade-like skeleton and said, "It should be a different human race, the giant clan." Everyone looked at Han Fei and thought, "How do you know everything?" Han Fei said leisurely, "First of all, we confirm that this is a human skeleton. Since they were human skeletons, it could be concluded that they were human. This was an ancient ruin. Not to mention the giant tribe, I wouldn't even be surprised if the dwarf tribe came. Who knows, there might even be those palm-sized humans." Everyone rolled their eyes and Li Luoluo said disdainfully, "A palm-sized dwarf? Wouldn't they be exterminated just like that?" Han Fei said with a smile, "The sea creatures are getting bigger and bigger, but human beings are still going extinct. Different clansmen would definitely have different characteristics. These skeletons are boring to look at. It would be best for everyone to look for some stone carvings or books. Only then will it have archaeological value." An hour later, Zhang Xuanyu suddenly said, "Come here, I found something." Following Zhang Xuanyu, the group ran more than 800 kilometers away. Han Fei was lost for words. How far did this guy run just now? Zhang Xuanyu took Han Fei and the others to a cliff, pointed to the large stone sculptures on the cliff, and said, "Look, they are indeed giants." In the picture, a group of burly giants seemed to be building a city. Some giants moved mountains, and some giants took out giant trees from the sea. Then the picture changed to the scene of the giants eating. And in this picture there was a strange scene, that was, the giants would worship a totem after eating. And that totem turned out to be a female figure, which Han Fei and the others were familiar with. It was the statue of the sea god. Zhang Xuanyu smiled and said, "It seems that in ancient times, people began to worship the sea god as soon as they came?" Luo Xiaobai suddenly said, "Wait a minute, in the Dharma-ending era, there were already people who worshipped the same sea god as us. Then, how long has it been since then?" Luo Xiaobai's question stunned everyone. God knows how long they had worshipped the sea god? Luo Xiaobai said, "Don't forget. Just now, when we were reading the nautical diary, we found that it had been more than 10,000 years. And it must have been 10,000 years since the Dharma-ending era. Otherwise, there would definitely be a lot of records about the Dharma-ending era left by venerable powerhouses. But the fact is they didn't." Han Fei swallowed and said, "This means that the sea god we worship has actually lived for a very, very long time and may not be dead yet." Lu Renquang hurriedly said, "Wait, can a god die?" Han Fei rolled his eyes and said, "I'm just thinking, is the so-called sea god a king in the Pioneer Sea state? If it is, then the king has lived for too long. If it isn't, then the realm above the king." Jiuyin Ling suddenly said, "Look at the third picture. It's a war, and there's a particularly tall giant." Everyone hurriedly turned their eyes to the third picture. The giant in the lead was fighting a huge octopus monster. The giant was more than twice as tall as the other giant. According to the height of 15 meters just now, this giant was probably close to 40 meters, right? This giant was holding a huge axe in his hand. Luo Xiaobai said, "I think I've seen him before." Han Fei said, "He's a bit like Yangdiu. Do you remember his will of the god of war? Isn't it similar to this giant?" Han Fei was already sure that the Yang family must have obtained a secret realm related to the giants and inherited something, such as a bloodline. He was also wondering if the Chao family also had this kind of inheritance. After all, Chao Qiu had the bloodline of the god of war. He didn't seem human at all. Han Fei interpreted, "They experienced a battle with sea demons. See? There's a big shell over there. It's the clam girl. However, I don't see shrimp soldiers and crab generals. They seem to be fighting with mollusk creatures." There were a total of 6 pictures. In the 4th picture, the battle was obviously a failure. In order to preserve the bloodline, this giant performed some kind of sacrifice on a newborn baby. In the 5th picture, the clouds in the sky opened and a pair of eyes appeared above the clouds. Seeing this scene, Han Fei's pupils constricted. On the fish skin that Ren Tianfei left him, there was a pair of eyes like this. Li Luoluo couldn't help but shiver. "Huh, what a weird eye!" In the 6th picture, it was the door of a palace. Where was this palace? Han Fei already had an idea. Immortal Palace. Luo Xiaobai and the others exchanged glances and didn't say anything. Luo Xiaobai said, "Let's go to the next ruin." Unfortunately, the 3rd ruin was still like a battlefield in a village, with many undead spirits. But the undead spirits here were all normal. There were no giants, no stone inscriptions, and no books left. The dangling fisher ruins were explored. The hanging fisher ruins were also explored. There were 6 hidden fisher ruins. Not surprisingly, the degree of danger here would be greater. However, Han Fei and the others had 6 people, so they didn't panic at all. At the same time, in a certain family, someone reported, Han Fei and the others should be cleaning up the secret realms. But today their speed is extremely slow. The 6 of them set off together and it took them a day to explore 4 secret realms. They should be exploring the ruins. Yes, the ruins of the hidden fisher level shouldn't be a problem for them. They shouldn't be able to explore the ruins of the law enforcers. Don't worry about it for the time being. On the other side, someone also had a similar response. Don't worry about it for the time being. The secret realms left by the Thug Academy are just for testing disciples. Let's wait until they finish exploring all the ruins and enter the galaxy to find new ruins. Someone else responded, "Don't worry. Let's wait for a while and then send someone to see if we can exchange for the ruins from them." In the hidden fisher ruins, This time Han Fei ignored the 3 maps that looked like battlefields and chose 3 architectural ruins. At this moment, Han Fei and the others were standing in a place that looked like a tower-shaped altar. It looked a bit like a pyramid, but Han Fei knew that it wasn't. There were only 5 levels to the altar, and there were exactly 45 steps. At the top there was a room. Han Fei tried to perceive it, only to find that the entire altar was blocked. Han Fei grinned. "Let me do it." Luo Xiaobai stretched out her hand and tied Han Fei up with vines. "Be careful." What Han Fei didn't want to climb the most was a weird place like the altar. These places always contained mysteries. God knew if they would let you enter some illusions, memories, or places of the past. Juin Ling said, "How about I go? I have a seal." Han Fei shook his head. "It's okay. What are you going to seal with your seal? No one is going to seal it for you." With that, Han Fei had already stepped on the first step. After stepping on the stairs, Han Fei looked back, only to find that everyone was looking at him. "Huh. It's very real. It seems that I worried too much." Seeing that there was no problem, Han Fei quickly climbed up the steps and went all the way to the top safely. At this moment, he saw a small single mausoleum. Yes, there wasn't even a coffin, only 3 walls and a roof. Therefore, this mausoleum was completely exposed in front of Han Fei. The walls were colorful, as if they were totemic patterns. On the 3 walls there was a small square pit which was empty. If there was nothing in it, such a small pit shouldn't have been dug out. It was probably taken away by the seniors of the Thug Academy. And on the ground there was a corpse. When he saw the corpse, Han Fei's eyelids twitched. This was the kind of corpse that had appeared in the underground city, and the undersea chimney around the corpse. There were 4 small human-shaped statues, kneeling around as if praying. What were they praying for? Han Fei looked up and saw a pair of scary big eyes painted on the top of the house. F***ck these eyes again? Chapter 10-15. Last time, Han Fei forgot to ask Ren Tianfei what the eyes on the fish skin painting were. This was the 3rd or 4th time that he had seen these eyes. Even a fool would know what this pair of eyes represented. It was a symbol of extraordinariness. Han Fei stared at the eyes, trying to see if he could find any information from the patterns on the walls around the altar. But for some reason, he felt that his scalp was a little numb and his body was going to have goosebumps. Suddenly, in his vision, he saw that the eyes that were originally carved on the top of the room moved. Originally, the eyes were looking at the corpse on the ground. But at this moment, the eyes were already looking at Han Fei. Gulp! Han Fei swallowed. His invincible heart actually gave birth to the will of resistance. Han Fei suddenly shouted, "Stop pretending to be mysterious. What are you looking at? Come here if you have the guts." Crack, crack, crack. As soon as Han Fei's voice fell, the corpse that was lying on the ground and was about to decay suddenly stood up. F***ck, they're really coming. Han Fei flew back, looked back, and saw that a few people were frantically gesturing to him. Following the direction of their hand gestures, a pair of blurry eyes appeared in the void above. F***ck. There's one outside too? Swish. Han Fei retreated all the way to the altar. As for the corpse, it quickly caught up to him. This made Han Fei and the others dumbfounded. What the hell is this? It wasn't until Han Fei left the altar that he heard their voices. Zhang Xuanyu asked, "What's this?" Li Luoluo shouted, "Disperse." Luo Xiaobai shouted, "Get ready to fight." Juin Ling clasped her hand in the air and a seal appeared. Seal! It could be seen that the corpse paused for a moment. But for some reason, the corpse seemed to have a strange power that helped him break free. Devil change. Taking advantage of the pause of the corpse, Han Fei activated Devil Change and spread the phantom glass wings. Han Fei shouted, "All of you disperse. I'll fight him." As he spoke, Han Fei's figure directly stuck to the side of the corpse. As the saying goes, those who are skilled are bold. In terms of close-range combat skills, Han Fei was also not weak. At that moment, Han Fei's body was shining with golden light. He grabbed the corpse with one hand and bumped his shoulder. Bang! A violent explosion occurred between the two of them. Han Fei never expected that a corpse could be so powerful. Seal! Instant profound spear. Insect bite. In that instant, everyone exploded with power. Countless tiny vines shot out from the feet of the corpse, wrapping around it. Holding the knife with one hand, Han Fei twisted his body and activated the draw technique at a super close distance. Clang ding! Bang! This slash landed solidly on the body of the corpse. Then, the sound it made Han Fei's blood freeze. This thing's corpse is as hard as a mid-quality divine weapon? The corpse was smashed away in an instant. After rolling on the ground for who knows how many times, his chest was pierced by an inch by the tip of the rod. The rod in Zhang Xuanyu's hand was bent like a bow. Roar! The corpse shook and Zhang Xuanyu was sent flying, rolling dozens of times before he stopped. And the insects that Li Luoluo tried to drill into the corpse's body were all crushed by the shock. Juyin Ling pointed a finger and poked the forehead of the corpse. The corpse was blasted away again and rolled dozens of times on the ground. With a crack, a knife mark appeared on the chest of the corpse, which was just cut by Han Fei. True martial demonic knife. Together with the true martial demonic knife, Han Fei activated the sky-swallowing technique. Lu Renquang sucked the corpse with the sky-swallowing technique and slashed directly at its head. Clang from Lu Renquang's hand to his body, and then to his face. The recoil force of the slash made him feel what power was. Crack. Fortunately, Lu Renquang's slash was quite violent and directly split the head of the corpse. Han Fei took the opportunity to flash over and use the draw technique again, directly cutting off its arm. Luo Xiaobai immediately understood what Han Fei meant. The vines fastened the limbs of the corpse and tore them apart. Clang! The battle lasted for close to 100 breaths before they managed to get rid of the corpse. And this was under the condition that Han Fei used devil change. When Han Fei looked up again, he found that the pair of eyes had disappeared. Zhang Xuanyu kicked the corpse and said, "Wow, it's too hard, isn't it? This corpse is comparable to a divine weapon." Lu Renquang rubbed his stomach and sighed. "More than that. The strength is amazing. Fortunately, we came together. Otherwise, we would have been in danger." Han Fei nodded. "No wonder there are so few high-level secret realms. And this is only a hidden Fisher-level secret realm. Then how strong are the law enforcers?" Luo Xiaobai said, "What did you see up there just now?" Li Luoluo said, "Yes. Just now you stood there motionless, and then a pair of eyes appeared in the void. It was so scary." Han Fei curled his lips and said, "Nothing, just a pair of eyes. Now, the corpse is useless. Let's go. I'll take you to have a look." After a moment, when Han Fei led everyone to climb the altar, suddenly, Han Fei's eyes widened. Everyone looked at Han Fei speechlessly. Zhang Xuanyu was dumbfounded. "Really? Fei, why is there another corpse?" Han Fei was also dumbfounded. F***CK, let's retreat. After 100 minutes, with the experience just now, everyone cooperated perfectly and killed the corpse. Their faces were full of doubts. Han Fei said with a sullen face, "When I was up there just now, I only saw one corpse. But when I went up with you, I saw another one. If there is no accident, we will still see another corpse if we go up now. The problem is not the corpse but the eyes." Everyone looked at each other. "What kind of weird altar is this? Can the corpses be endless?" Luo Xiaobai said, "So, it's not that the seniors didn't explore this place, but that they did, but new corpses were found. But what are those eyes? There are also these eyes in the giant's ruins, which seem to be above the clouds." Han Fei nodded. "Let's go to the next place. This relic is only this big. I think it's a building. Who knew it would come here to fight? Let's go to the next one." Han Fei had basically figured out what this treasure trove was for. It was to tell those who came here that these eyes were weird. And this secret realm was to remind everyone to pay attention to them. No matter whether there was anything else worth investigating here or not, this secret realm was still in his hands anyway. There was no need to repeatedly fight with a corpse now. Besides, Han Fei suspected that the source of this corpse was not the plane of the underground city. So he thought of the Immortal Palace. Han Fei still remembered that when he took the source water, the shadow said that the Immortal Palace was full of this kind of corpse puppet. Not only this kind of low-level puppets, but there should even be a lot of explorer-level puppet. Han Fei thought, even if I come to this secret realm again, I can only come alone. Han Fei nodded. Let's go to the next place. Wait a minute. Luo Xiaobai interrupted Han Fei. I have a question. Han Fei asked, Huh? Luo Xiaobai looked at the altar and said, I don't know why, but I always feel that these ruins we have passed are all related. In the ruins of the giants we saw these eyes. But don't forget, above these eyes there is an illusory palace. Juin Ling suddenly said, By the way, there's something I don't know if I should say? Everyone looked over, and Han Fei couldn't help but say, Go ahead. Juin Ling pursed her lips and said, When I was cultivating the comfort technique, I was once brought into some kind of illusion by a strange power. I once saw a huge floating island that I had never seen before, and there were melodious sounds nearby. Everyone continued to wait. However, Juin Ling blinked and didn't speak. Han Fei was stunned for a moment. That's all? Juin Ling blushed slightly and opened her mouth. That's all. The corner of Han Fei's mouth twitched. Okay. That's good news. Juin Ling blushed and secretly stuck out her tongue. It wasn't easy for her to interject, but it didn't seem to be very effective. Han Fei said, Xiaobai has a point. If these ruins are all connected, it means that all the ruins in the 1,000-star proving ground are very likely to be connected. More or less, they all involve some secrets about the Age of Doom. Luo Xiaobai said, If that's the case, then the star beads of our ruins should be very valuable. Han Fei immediately said in distress, But we can't snatch the ruins of other families. Juin Ling opened her mouth and slowly said, There should be a few in my family. Luo Xiaobai also said, There are some in my family too. Han Fei couldn't help but laugh dryly. There's no hurry. The purpose of coming to the 1,000-star proving ground this time has been achieved. It's mainly to sweep through the secret realms, which are suitable for Su Daiji and the others to cultivate. As for exploring the ruins of the Age of Doom, it's just my own interest. Besides, even if we don't have enough ruins, there are still the 3 Holy Lands to explore. There's no hurry. We have plenty of time to do these things. In fact, Han Fei already had a guess in his heart. If this pair of eyes could bring out a corpse, would it be possible for them to bring a person up? If his guess was right, then the so-called 1,000-star testing field and the 8-star and 9-star secret realms might appear directly in the Immortal Palace? In Han Fei's opinion, these ruins might also be a kind of spatial channel that allowed one to come and go freely. So, it didn't matter where he went. Why couldn't it directly lead to the Divine Palace? Chapter 1016. 3 days later. They had been in the 1,000-star proving ground for nearly 10 days. Unfortunately, not every ruin had secrets to explore. For example, among the remaining hidden Fisher-level sites, 2 had completely collapsed and were basically worthless. Instead, he found a coffin in a battlefield relic that Han Fei was least optimistic about. This was also the last ruin that everyone could explore at this level. Apart from the location of the coffin, there were signs of collapse everywhere in the ruins. This place used to look like an earthen city, but it was blasted into dregs during the battle. It was a scene of desolation. Zhang Xuanyu said, Such a violent fighting style, I think it should be done by one of our own. I mean, the seniors of our Thug Academy once fought here and destroyed this place. Han Fei asked, Then why is this coffin the only thing left? At this moment, Everyone was standing before the coffin. There were some strange patterns carved on the outside of the coffin. These patterns basically covered the entire coffin. Coupled with the inlaid gold and jade lines, it made the coffin look extremely noble. The patterns on the coffins were even more interesting. There were 20 of them, and Han Fei could basically recognize all of them. There were crocodiles, houses, snakes, deer, rabbits, flowing water, skeletons, wolf heads, apes, leaves of grass, giant eagles, flowers. There were also a few that he did not recognize. Perhaps these creatures were relatively rare. The first thing that came to Han Fei's mind when he saw this kind of relief was the stone carvings of ancient humans. In the past, to his knowledge, the most famous ancient human stone inscription was the Sun Stone inscription, also known as the Sun Stone. It was a calendar that recorded time. It was usually in the shape of a disc, like the heavenly stems and earthly branches. However, you insisted on carving it on the coffin. I wonder if there's any meaning behind it? Could it be that a noble coffin was no longer a coffin? Wasn't he still dead? What was the point of being so luxurious? Clearly, the stone inscription on the coffin was not a calendar. The pictures of these small animals were quite strange. Could it be the result of a hunt? Han Fei pondered carefully and found feeble waves of energy and spiritual energy around the coffin. That feeling was like a human breathing. This feeling was very weak, but Han Fei and the others were all about to become law enforcers. It was impossible that they couldn't even feel this. Lu Renkuang swallowed. Are we going to open it or not? Li Luoluo bared her teeth and said, Why didn't the seniors of the Thug Academy open it before? Why are you leaving them for us? Juyin Ling suddenly said, It must have been opened. Everyone looked at him, and Han Fei said, You know about it again? Juyin Ling blushed and said, You know my cultivation technique. Although it's changed, I can still vaguely hear some strange sounds. First, I could hear the faint breathing of someone inside the coffin. Another one, I seem to be able to see some blurry images from this place. It seems like someone had opened this coffin before, and there seemed to be a woman sleeping inside. I don't know why it was sealed again. The others looked at each other in bewilderment. What's this? Foresight? Han Fei raised his eyebrows. Is it the carefree technique? Juyin Ling nodded slightly. Yes, although it's been abandoned, it still retains some of its characteristics. In the past, the natural law could be connected to the music of the world and could see a trace of fog from the music. Han Fei couldn't help but ask, Is the woman inside still alive? Juyin Ling shook her head. I don't know. But I think since she's breathing, she should still be alive. Li Luoluo said, It's getting more and more mysterious. Aren't we here to explore the secret realm? Have we become grave robbers? Luo Xiaobai said, Since we've opened it, let's open it. Han Fei nodded. Be careful. Once something goes wrong, use the secret method immediately. Fatty, help me open the coffin gently. The flesh on Lu Renkuang's face trembled, and he couldn't help but complain, Why is it always me? Zhang Xuanyu smiled and said, Otherwise, why would you let a girl come? As Han Fei and Lu Renkuang lifted the coffin lid, they looked at each other. This coffin lid was so heavy. Han Fei said, Maybe there's a gravity array under this coffin lid. It's okay. Move it first. When the two of them gently moved the coffin lid, the first thing that appeared in the coffin was a pair of bare feet with tender white skin. Then, there was a delicate calf. Then, there was a green gauze dress. It's really a woman. Everyone looked at each other. When Han Fei and Lu Renkuang moved the coffin lid away, they looked back and found that it was a girl with a delicate face, about 20 years old. In terms of appearance, she was quite cute. Her face was slightly chubby, and her hands were crossed on her abdomen. Under the girl's hands, there was a jade slip. Seeing this, everyone looked at each other. There must be a lot of information in this jade slip. Han Fei couldn't help but ask, Should we take it or not? Luo Xiaobai rolled her eyes at Han Fei. Who should I ask? Han Fei smiled and said, Okay. Then let's take it. I don't believe that this woman can still come back to life. Juin Ling said, then why didn't the previous seniors take it? Han Fei and the others were stunned by this question. Who would know? Han Fei said, I'm not afraid. Let me touch it and try to read the information in this jade slip. Luo Xiaobai suggested, shall I? Let me try with spiritual plants first? Han Fei nodded. This was better than directly grabbing it. Luo Xiaobai summoned a grass vine and slowly extended it to the jade slip. Seeing that the woman didn't react at all, everyone was relieved. However, Luo Xiaobai frowned and said, I can't read any information from the jade slip. Everyone knew that Luo Xiaobai could parasitize vines and make spiritual plants a part of her. Was this jade slip useless? Han Fei directly reached out. Since Luo Xiaobai couldn't read anything, there shouldn't be a big problem. Han Fei gently moved the woman's hand away and pointed at the jade slip with one finger. Master, F***CK. Han Fei suddenly withdrew his hand and saw that Lu Renquang and the others all activated secret technique. Zhang Xuanyu asked nervously, what's wrong? Han Fei glanced at the woman lying in the coffin and said after a long time, it's okay. It's a jade slip. Why don't you try to check it with your finger? Li Luoluo was speechless. You scared us to death. Do you know that it's easy to scare people to death? Luo Xiaobai was also speechless. Just now, she almost used a secret technique. Juin Ling's seal had already condensed in her hand. Zhang Xuanyu said with a constipated look, let me do it? Han Fei nodded. It's not a big deal. Just put your finger on this jade slip and see what happens. Zhang Xuanyu glanced at Han Fei. Maybe Han Fei was just scaring people. It must be okay. If there was something wrong, would he ask me to check it? Zhang Xuanyu slowly stretched out his finger and put it on the jade slip. However, after a while, Zhang Xuanyu said, there's no reaction. Li Luoluo nodded. Let me try. After a while, Li Luoluo shook her head. I really can't see anything. Is it because this jade slip is too old and useless? Luo Xiaobai shook her head slightly. It should be impossible. Then, Juin Ling, Lu Renquang, and the others also tried, but there was no reaction. Dubiously, Han Fei stretched out his finger again and pointed at the jade slip. This time, the same voice sounded. Master, is that you? Han Fei's pupils constricted and his fingers froze. Luo Xiaobai and the others were stunned. Zhang Xuanyu scolded with a smile. Don't pretend. None of us have any reaction, but you do? Do you think this is your daughter-in-law? However, Han Fei ignored Zhang Xuanyu. He tried to infuse his spiritual power into the jade slip. Who are you? Suddenly, Han Fei sensed an excited spiritual power touching him. The spiritual power conveyed a message, Master, are you back? I've been waiting for you for a long time. Han Fei said, well, Miss, I guess I am not your master. You may have been lying in bed for tens of thousands of years, but I am only 20 years old. That psychic power suddenly shook. Impossible. If you are not my master, how can you have my bloodline power? Suddenly, the spiritual power moved again. Master, have you been reincarnated? Han Fei was dumbfounded. Are you kidding me? Can I go back to Earth after I'm reborn? However, Han Fei immediately grasped a key piece of information. Luo Xiaobai and the others couldn't perceive it, but he could. What was the power of the bloodline that this woman was talking about? The only thing Han Fei could think of was the source water. He had met the 9th Palace Master through the source water. If there was a connection, this was the only one he could think of. Han Fei rolled his eyes and said, I'm not sure. Since I am your master, do you know where I came from? The spiritual power was shaking. Of course it's the Yin-Yang heaven. Master, haven't you recovered your memory? Don't worry, Master. Maybe your strength hasn't recovered to a certain level. My memories will definitely be reopened. Han Fei said, Yin-Yang heaven? Are you talking about the 9th Immortal Palace? Yes, Master. Since you went to spy on the heavenly way, many things have happened. The eye of the heavenly way descended and covered the foundation of the great way of this world. The consciousness of the guardian puppets in the immortal palace was erased by the eye of the heavenly way. As he spoke, Han Fei clearly felt that the spiritual power was a little sad. There were not many people in the immortal palace. The puppets rioted and Sister Shui died in the battle. In order to prevent the war in the immortal palace from affecting the Thousand Star City, the controller directly blocked the central holy city of the Thousand Star City, restored the 3 holy lands, and cut off the connection between the immortal palace and the Thousand Star City. Because Xia was weak, she was sent away from the Thousand Star City by the controller. But because she was too seriously injured, she was attacked by a villain surnamed Chu in the Thousand Star City. As a last resort, she could only reincarnate. Han Fei's blood froze. The eye of the heavenly way? Was that the pair of eyes he saw? A pair of eyes actually blocked the foundation of the great way of the entire Yin-Yang heaven? This was probably the reason why the people in the Thousand Star City couldn't reach the King Realm. Also, what was this woman's reincarnation? However, there was one piece of information that Han Fei knew: Chu. Who else in the Thousand Star City was surnamed Chu except for the Chu sect? Chapter 10:17. After the woman said that it was the Chu sect who attacked her, Han Fei immediately understood a lot. Why didn't the Chu sect rob the sea-quelling painting? It seemed that the Chu sect had been exploring the Thousand Star Proving Ground. Why? Was their purpose to find this coffin and this woman? At this moment, Han Fei already knew that those big clans only knew that the sea-quelling painting had an opportunity to become a king. And the opportunity they thought might be different from what he got. What he got was the source water, while what they thought should be going to the Divine Palace through the sea-quelling painting. Therefore, the Divine Palace was their ultimate goal. And the people of the Chu sect had long known about this woman. It could even be said that they had successfully ambushed her while she was unprepared, allowing her to escape into the Star River mystic realm. So, they had been looking for her. How could finding the sea-quelling painting be more direct than finding this woman? Even if they found the sea-quelling painting, they might not be able to go to the Divine Palace. But the chances of finding this woman and going to the Divine Palace were much higher than finding the sea-quelling painting. After all, this woman came down from the Divine Palace. Besides, Han Fei also thought of one thing. Old Bai said that the Thug Patriarch had been to the Divine Palace. So, was the extermination of the Thug Academy related to this? Because the Thug Patriarch had been to the Divine Palace, the big clans of the Thousand Star City, or the Chu sect, thought that the woman had been caught by the Thug Academy, so they came to attack the Thug Academy? In fact, their real purpose was to get the star bead of the Thug Academy. Also, the reason why they crippled Ren Tianfei was probably not just because Ren Tianfei brought the sea-quelling painting down from the Divine Palace, right? Perhaps they also wanted to learn the way to the Divine Palace through Ren Tianfei. As for old Han, this guy had always been mysterious. Others might not know that he had been to the Divine Palace. In any case, this woman was calling him master. He should take advantage of this opportunity to get information out of her. Han Fei thought that this trip to the Thousand Star City would be very difficult. What Thousand Star testing ground? What 3 holy lands? What central holy city? It felt like every single place was very impressive. But who knew? In the ruins left by Old Bai, he could find the people of the Divine Palace. Old Bai probably didn't expect that he could talk to this girl. Han Fei immediately asked, "What's your name?" "Master, you can call me Sierra or Xiao Ci. That's what you used to call me." "Little Ci. That Chu guy you mentioned, is he from the Chu sect?" The Truman Show? He had never heard of this faction. However, I know that person's surname is Chu. They destroyed a part of Ci's divine soul and stole his star shell. Han Fei thought to himself, the Chu men must have become the Chu men later. The Chu clan was built on Xiao Ci's legacy. Son of a bitch. No wonder the Chu sect was so keen on the Thousand Star Proving Ground. It looked like they had obtained too many benefits and wanted to continue reaping benefits from Little Ci. Little Ci, how do I enter the immortal palace? Xiao Ci's consciousness trembled for a moment. Master, what's your current strength? Han Fei said straightforwardly, I'm on the path of invincibility, so it's very difficult for me to make progress. I've just become a peak-level hidden fisher and am about to become a law enforcer. Master, you actually chose the path of invincibility? Han Fei couldn't help but ask, what's wrong with the path of invincibility? Xiao Ci's spiritual power seemed a little nervous. She hurriedly said, Master, it is said that the path of invincibility is a path of no return. It is said that there is no invincibility in this world. In history, less than 1 out of 10 people who embarked on the path of invincibility survived. Why did you choose this path? F***ck. Han Fei was dumbfounded. What do you mean? Invincible was such an awesome path. Could it be that it was so miserable? However, Han Fei said indifferently, Heaven and earth are heartless and treat all things as dogs. Since I embarked on this path, I have my own karma. Okay, Little Ci, how do I go to the immortal palace? Han Fei felt that he just needed to brag a little. If he bragged too much, he might expose himself. Xiao Ci was silent for a moment and said, Master, I'm afraid you can't go to the immortal palace for the time being. Han Fei said, I know I'm not strong enough, but I really need to know how to go there. After learning the way, I have to find a way to go to the Waterwood Heaven to survive the tribulation and become an explorer. The person who hurt you has now become a force, called the Chu sect, which is guarded by a venerable. If I don't leave and become a law enforcer in the Yinyang Heaven, I may be in danger of dying. Her spiritual power fluctuated violently. Those bastards surnamed Chu, how dare they hurt you, Master? Little Ci, Little Ci. Han Fei hurriedly said, Don't get excited. I have my ways to deal with them. I know there are many puppets in the immortal palace, and the source water is there. So, I won't give the Chu sect a chance. When I know the way to the immortal palace, I will quickly become a law enforcer and undergo the tribulation in the Waterwood Heaven. Once I succeed, I will cultivate for a while and become a venerable. Then I will destroy all these big clans. Xiao Ci's spiritual power fluctuated. You must destroy them ruthlessly. Master, in fact, after you awaken your memory, you will naturally know the way to the immortal palace. However, these 2 methods are too difficult now. One is the level 9 secret realm in the galaxy, which is your daily cultivation place. However, with your current strength, I'm afraid you can't go there in a short time through this method. Because your strength will at least need to reach the peak of the Venerable Realm. Han Fei rolled his eyes. The peak of the Venerable Realm? Are you F***king kidding me? If I really cultivate to the peak of the Venerable Realm, I can overturn these big clans by myself. At that time, I will have plenty of time and ways to enter the Immortal Palace. Han Fei couldn't help but ask, what about the other one? Xiao Ci said, go to the central holy city. However, with Master's current strength, I'm afraid it will be a little difficult. However, since Master has embarked on the path of invincibility, it won't be difficult for you to go to the Sky Meditation Garden and the Ideal Palace. Only the God's Memorial Tower may take some effort. But the entrance to the central holy city is guarded by a clone of the controller. It may be very difficult. Han Fei's heart did a flip. What's the strength of the controller's clone? Xiao Ci said, I don't know how long it has been. The controller seems to have been injured. I don't know what level his strength has fallen to. However, he is at least a beginner venerable. Han Fei immediately felt terrible. Are you F***king kidding me? A peak level venerable and a beginner venerable. I can't go to either of them. Xiao Ci said. Also, Xiao Ci doesn't know if Master still remembers the killing arrays in the central holy city. Those killing arrays were all set up by the controller. But if Master awakens, everything will be easy. The controller will definitely recognize Master. By then, Master will be able to walk into your back garden. It'll be fine. Han Fei heaved a long sigh in his heart. Most importantly, I'm not your King Master. This is so difficult. Han Fei couldn't help but feel a headache. Based on Xiao Xi's words, there were only 2 ways to enter the Immortal Palace. The first way was basically impossible for a while. The peak of the Venerable Realm was no joke. As for the second way, it seemed that he had to pass the 3 Holy Lands and enter the Central Holy City from the God's Memorial Tower. After reaching the Central Holy City, he had to defeat the controller's clone and pass some killing arrays. Sigh, why is life so difficult? On the side, Zhang Xuanyu exclaimed, Han Fei, are you trying to take advantage of him? You've been holding that jade slip for a long time. Han Fei glanced at Zhang Xuanyu and then asked telepathically, Xiao Ci, then when will this reincarnation you're cultivating be completed? Xiao Ci replied, Master, almost half of my soul has been shattered. When I used the secret method to reincarnate, I was only an early-stage explorer. If I want to be resurrected this time, I need a lot of ownerless souls. Otherwise, I need a lot of things that can revive me. Otherwise, I'm afraid it will take a long time. Han Fei thought that if he could resurrect this Xiao Ci, then maybe he could take her to the God's Memorial Tower with him. At that time, when the controller saw her, he would probably let her in at any time. However, he didn't have either of the 2 things that Xiao Ci wanted. These were all extremely rare treasures. How could they be obtained so easily? Han Fei said, Xiao Ci, then wait a few years. When I return from the Waterwood Heaven, enter the Immortal Palace, and regain control of the Immortal Palace, I will resurrect you. When I return from the Waterwood Heaven, enter the Immortal Palace, and regain control of the Immortal Palace, I will resurrect you. Xiao Ci replied excitedly, Yes, Master. Xiao Ci will wait for you here. However, Master, although you have a good relationship with the Palace Master of the Waterwood Heavenly Palace, will she covet your power because you are still weak? Han Fei raised his eyebrows. Are the Masters of the Waterwood Heavenly Palace very close to the Masters of the Enyang Heavenly Palace? Wait, from what little Ci said, the Palace Master of Waterwood Sky is still alive? Han Fei thought about it. How many years has Xiao Ci been lying in bed? Perhaps that person from the Shuemu Heaven had also died? As for being coveted? Han Fei was not worried at all. What could someone who was at least at the Sea Expansion Realm covet from me? Perhaps there were many explorers from Shuemu Sky? He might not care at all. Han Fei thought for a moment and immediately replied, Don't worry. Since I dare to go, I'm not afraid that anything will go wrong. After all, I'm not even sure if I'm the Enyang Sky Palace Master. Xiao Ci nodded, It must be. There's no way little Ci is mistaken. There are 2 paths of Yin and Yang in your body. Otherwise, we won't be able to wake little Ci up. Han Fei was stunned again. Wait, what do you mean Yin and Yang? 2 paths of Yin and Yang, this is the strongest talent of our Enyang Sky. No one can have it except the Palace Master. Han Fei smacked his lips. Is she talking about Little Black and Little White? Besides, after taking the Origin Water, he did have a second spiritual heritage. Han Fei couldn't help but ask, Then what do you know about this 2 paths of Yin and Yang? I don't remember this at all. Xiao Ci was silent for a moment. Well, I don't know either. But I know that this is the talent of the Palace Master. Han Fei grinned. Forget it. If you don't know, then you don't know. In any case, there had been a lot of strange things that had happened to him. He didn't know who had schemed against him. Anyway, he had been schemed against. Without that strength, he probably couldn't change this situation. Immediately, Han Fei said, Little Ci, then you can rest here with peace of mind. The day I regain control of the Immortal Palace will be the day you are resurrected. Xiao Ci's spirit fluctuated violently. Yes, Master. Chapter 10:18. Han Fei felt that he was so awesome now that he recruited people everywhere. In the sea-quelling painting, he recruited 5 big shot. In an irrelevant place, he recruited another big shot who used to belong to the immortal palace. Half of her soul had been destroyed, but she still had the strength of an explorer and knew the method of reincarnation. At first glance, she must have been a very strong and powerful existence. Needless to say, he should have been a beginner venerable in the past, right? Han Fei retracted his hand and said with a contemplative expression, "All right, close the coffin lid. Everyone." Li Luolua wondered, "Han Fei, are you serious? You're acting all high and mighty, but you clearly can't feel anything." Zhang Xuanyu also said contemptuously, "Yes, we can't. Maybe this girl is a senior sister of our thug academy. Let's not rush to cover the coffin. Why don't you try calling her? Anyway, she doesn't seem to be a threat. If she is a senior sister of our academy, we can't just leave her here." Han Fei rolled his eyes and said, "Look at the shape of this coffin. What era is this thing from? Let me tell you, right now, he might be in a deep sleep, brewing something. It's fine to take a look at the jade slip, but if you really pull her up, she may wake up and kill you." With that said, Han Fei had already carried the coffin lid and sealed the coffin. What Han Fei said was true. When he had a chance, he would definitely resurrect Xiao Ci. In this way, not only would he have a thug, but he would also have a personal guide. Well, since she believed that he was her master, then so be it. Since she didn't mind, what else could he dislike? Han Fei said, Okay, I think we've explored enough. To put it bluntly, anything in the Age of Doom can become a relic. God knows how many relics there are. Besides, we only have so many relics in our hand. In the future, when we are strong enough to at least become law enforcers, we can explore them again." Juyin Ling nodded. "Yes, these relics are indeed not of much use for the time being. What's really useful are level 7 secret realms." Han Fei said, "Okay, now that things have come to this point, we've seen all the secret realms that can be seen. Let's go back to school." The outside world. When they came out, some people had left quietly and some people had been watching them. But the situation of finding fault like last time did not happen. He seemed to know that this was the worst time to stir up trouble. However, even if he didn't pick a fight now, he would pick one in the future. Therefore, in the minds of the great clans, they were merely waiting. As for their final destination, if nothing went wrong, it would be the ruins. In school. Crackle! When he came back, he saw Su Daiji twisting her body in a weird posture, with her head on the ground and one hand spinning the Rubik's Cube. Han Fei immediately shouted, "Su Daiji, what are you doing?" Bang! Su Daiji was shocked. She directly lay on the ground, quickly put away the Rubik's Cube, and began to continue practicing the 108 spirit-absorbing war bodies. Because when Han Fei left, he left enough body-refining medicine, enough for them to cultivate for a month. Therefore, he was not afraid that they had nothing to do. Su Daiji somehow became a level 9 fisher on her own. Luo Xiaobai said, "It's time to awaken Daji's talent, right? Her strength seems to be improving very fast. Usually this time is enough." Han Fei nodded. After the test, seeing that Han Fei and the others were back, everyone was refining their bodies. Only Yi Xian pretended to be weak. Han Fei glanced at Zhang Xuanyu. "Yi Xian, come here." Zhang Xuanyu pointed at his nose. "Me? You are the acting president." The 9-tailed mantis shrimp suddenly appeared in the open space. After adapting to the sea for a long time, the 9-tailed mantis shrimp was usually dozens of meters long. Therefore, when it appeared at this moment, Yi Xian and the others were startled. Seeing that the 9-tailed mantis shrimp was about to pounce on him, Han Fei kicked him. "Become smaller, 3 meters." The 9-tailed mantis shrimp quickly became smaller and then rubbed against Han Fei's leg. Han Fei pointed at Yi Xian and Su Daiji and said, "Yes, just keep an eye on them. Whoever is lazy will be slapped. Remember to use less strength. Just use level 7 or level 8 strength. Ishian said aggrievedly, "Darling, smack." Ishian didn't even see what was happening. Suddenly, a chain appeared in the void and whipped her butt. Don't forget, the nine-tailed mantis shrimp was an authentic legendary creature. This slap directly made Ishian, an intermediate fishing master, lie on the ground, screaming. Han Fei snorted. "Who told you to be lazy? Even your husband can't save you. If he dares to save you, I'll slap him too." Zhang Xuanyu quickly pointed at Han Fei and said, Hey, I'm still a pure teenager. Don't blame me for everything. And Ishian, behave yourself and call me senior brother." Ishian didn't dare to speak because the big shrimp was already in front of her at this moment. Now, her face turned blue and white. Although Ishian was naughty, she still knew what she was doing. He was also aware of the severity of the matter. Senior brother Han Fei said that this big shrimp slapped her with level 7 or level 8 strength, but she didn't take it seriously just now. But after this blow, she felt that even the strength of level 7 or level 8 seemed to surpass her. Ishian couldn't help but swallow. What level of contractual spiritual beast is this? Why is it so powerful? Han Fei was very satisfied with his current state and said to the nine-tailed mantis shrimp, "See that? It's that little guy. If she secretly plays with the Rubik's Cube again, I'll slap him." Su Daiji shuddered slightly, then started to train methodically. At this moment, Han Fei said, "The 5 of you, have you practiced the 108 spirit-absorbing war bodies once?" Xingyu nodded. "Senior brother, I've already practiced it once. It's just that it took a little long." Han Fei nodded secretly. This was indeed a little difficult. To be able to complete all the postures in 10 days, it was enough to show that these people were very talented. At least, he had obtained the incomplete monograph on 108 ways of body tempering. With his aptitude back then, he couldn't even practice it once and would be exhausted to death. Compared to now, Han Fei felt that they were really lucky. Luo Xiaobai said with a serious face, "Xingyu, Su Sanqian, test paper." As he spoke, 2 vines had already stretched out in front of them. The 2 of them quickly stopped and took out their test papers. Hence, Han Fei and the others gathered together and began to comment. Lu Renquang took a look. "They're all full." Zhang Xuanyu commented, It's a little different from what I expected." Han Fei said, "It's also a little different from what I expected." In Han Fei's opinion, Su Sanqian had been suppressed for a long time and knew the fickleness of human nature. Therefore, his emotions were inevitably a little indifferent. As for Xingyu, he lived in a normal family. Therefore, his personality should be more conservative. However, from the results of the answers, Su Sanqian seemed to be more willing to help others. Xingyu, on the other hand, was awesome. This kid was actually a little similar to Han Fei and the others. He actually liked to rob. Everyone looked at Han Fei. "Both of you are spirit gatherers, both of you are soul warriors, and both of you like to rob. This kid is good." Li Luoluo didn't care about this. After Juyin Ling finished reading, she said indifferently, "I think Sanqian is quite good." Han Fei, Zhang Xuanyu, and Lu Renquang chuckled at the same time. Luo Xiaobai said, "Xingyu, you will be the captain of this team in the future. You need to cultivate your sense of command. Su Sanqian, you are a manipulator. You can't be impulsive at critical moment. You need to listen to orders." Su Sanqian nodded hard. "Yes, senior sister." Xingyu was a little surprised. He had secretly compared answers with Su Sanqian. Originally, he felt a little embarrassed and felt that he definitely couldn't compare to Su Sanqian. But why was he the captain? Juyin Ling didn't understand, but Han Fei gave her a look, indicating that he would talk about it later. Han Fei said, "From now on, everyone will cultivate the 108 spirit-absorbing war bodies once and then come to the back mountain." With that said, Han Fei kicked the nine-tailed mantis shrimp. Watch. Whoever slacks off, beat them up. On the back mountain. Seeing Juin Ling's puzzled expression, Han Fei immediately said, You stayed in the heavenly water village before, so you must have gone to the ordinary fishery. Have you seen the competition for resources between the villages? Juin Ling nodded. Yes, it's a little cruel. Han Fei sneered. The ocean is just that cruel. Except for the 1,000-star city, the 36 towns and all the villages teach this. On the path of cultivation, benevolence is the most dangerous. From the beginning, you were fighting with sea creatures, but you shouldn't have fought many humans. Therefore, you don't know how sinister the human heart is. Han Fei said leisurely, with Su Sanchin's personality, don't let the Su family ruin him. That won't be good. I'll leave it to you. Zhang Xuanyu was stunned. Me again? Han Fei patted his shoulder and said, Communication has always been your forte. At this moment, Lurenquang had already started cooking. He interrupted and said, Should we groom the next generation of chefs? Han Fei's expression turned serious. That makes sense. Who do you think is the most suitable? Gucci. Is there a need to ask? Han Fei grinned. I'll listen to you. Han Fei and the others were talking nonsense. Juin Ling was thinking about what Han Fei had just said when she saw a short man running towards the back mountain. Luo Xiaobai exclaimed in surprise and looked at Han Fei. Less than an hour. Han Fei was also a little surprised. Is Su Daji the kind of person who is born to temper her body? This speed is amazing.